What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the show. Appreciate you guys all being here. Welcome in. Talking Trek is live. All right, let's kick it off like we most normally do with the Talking Trek server sound off. You guys go ahead and punch it up in chat. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you. Kick it on off, would you? While I click one or two more buttons. I'm going to click one or two more buttons there. All right. There we go. Let's see who is in the chat hanging out with us today on a beautiful, sunny Sunday afternoon. EU-friendly, too. EU-friendly Sunday. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys being here. Here we got Consola Parker kicking us off on server 13, Valhalla King on 118, Stradalorian on 9. What's going on, Thad? On the flagship server 15, Nerf on 401, at Sumo on European 157. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Wristbreaker on 30. Captain Surge says first CoTA, now incursions. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Ben to the Robot on 51, Scud on 26, Joe on 11, 853663339 on server 56. What's going on? Teddy Mo's on 20, Seethan 86, Striker on 49, Strider on 30, Silver Tab on 33. Yes, I'm wearing the cat shirt. For those of you in podcast right now, they're making a big deal about the shirt that I'm wearing right now. It's a wonderful shirt. Sandra is here live. I love you. Sandra on 134. See, these are the shows that you like, right, Sandra? These are the shows that you like, that you don't have to actually watch on playback at the beginning of your Monday. Tony Pye on 86. Thank you. Murphy on European 164. Serge on 91. Kevin on 145. Albatron on 701. Johnny 5 on 44. Grouchy Outlaw on 84. Sugar Red on server 74. Doug on 38. Zach on 84. Fatty D on server 8. What's going on? Big J on 95. Feet Washer on 704 for at least 2 more days. Grand Negus on 136. Austin says, can you lower the camera? I can't see. I mean, it's Star Trek cats. That's all it is. It's Star Trek cats. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. Welcome into the show. Thank you. I'm UltimatDJz. This is Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. And look, I wrote myself a sticky note so that I would remember, hey, Darth Blood on 17 over in the YouTube chat, wrote myself a sticky note so I would remember to unmute Discord. I know, it's crazy.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, I told you, Tarpy, all I had to do was write myself a sticky note and everything would be fine. All right? See? Sticky note, boom, done. There's Discord. And no one even had to tell me.
Goodness.
No one even had to tell me. Look at me go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it. Good afternoon, everybody. We've got a big show to get into. Sandra says it is rare to catch a live show. That was why we wanted to go on a little bit earlier today, just because we had the opportunity to do so. It's early. We are operating on half staff. Griffin is out of town this weekend. So Doss says now remute Discord. I will do that eventually at one point during the show, I'm sure, and then I'll forget to turn it back on. So we can't ring the bell just yet. All right, we're gonna have to see if we could go a whole show and be able to work that out. So we do have some stuff to get to today. We've got 2 blog posts that we're going to dive into today, Tarpy. Plus, we've got some other stuff going on here within the Talking Trek community we're going to get to. And Putz has a game to play. We're going to take a look at the new announcement for CoTA with regards to the officer, Zephram Cochrane. How about that? Looky. 2 blog posts, so a 10-hour stream. No, we're going to be very factual. We're going to be very informational, and we're going to get through it because, Tarpy, I've got a 7 p.m. hard out. And the reason that I'm doing that is because... Is that the drinking word of the day? I just saw somebody make a mention of it in chat.
I'm not telling you what it is. We're not going to tell you.
I have a 7 p.m. hard out today because I didn't do Studio B last night. I'm sorry. I know. Where's the button? Yeah. Yikers. So No, here's what I decided that I'm going to do. All right, we're going to get out at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sanders like, it's already past 9. Show's over. Thanks for being here, everybody. Yeah, it was for a good reason, Ostis, because Noah and Kaylee surprised me with a visit yesterday. I didn't even know that they were coming, and they just decided to pop in on dear old dad. So I spent the afternoon with them. I didn't even bonus stream yesterday. I was going to. And I spent the day with them. We cooked. We had a small version of Meat Fest because it was just the two of us. That's right. It was for the kids. It was for the kids. So I didn't do Studio B last night. We were hanging out. I did play a little bit of Voyager yesterday, just kind of in and out. But then we played some Jackbox together last night, and we built a bonfire. And then now I didn't do this. But how many of you guys know? Apparently, this is a big thing with kids. Kids do this. Rip sticking. You guys know what rip sticking is? All right. Apparently kids do this. It's like the cross between like a skateboard and rollerblades and wiggling your butt. I think is the best way to describe that because you have to wiggle, right? Hey, Chef, thank you for the raid, baby. What's going on? Lovely show today. I enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Iron Chef rating in. Appreciate that so very much. Yeah, it was. So they brought rip sticks, and but then they had to customize their rip sticks. So they went to Walmart and bought spray paint. So now there's spray paint all over my driveway because they were customizing their rip sticks. Yeah, right. I don't know what I saw the rip stick, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Not a chance. I'll break many bones. So anyway, it was a lovely day. They've already left out of town this morning. They left this morning. It was just a quick visit. So then I was like, you know what? I decided I'm going to come in. I'm going to do the show today. We're going to do this show really quick. Or not quick, but we're going to do it earlier. Not only that, but we get to make the rare appearance, as Sandra points out, with our live show being EU friendly. So welcome into our European audience today. Lost in. Dude, I love this hat. Thank you. Lost in 73 popping in chat as well. Thank you so very much. Dude, I love this hat so much. I can't even begin to tell you. This is such a comfortable hat. And for those of you in podcast, all right, I have a quick question, and then we're going to move into content. Algorma says ripsticks are old now. I don't know. The kids are still doing them or whatever. I have to ask a question to those of you in podcast, live audience, whatever. When you buy a new ball cap, all right, and that's where I'm off already because I don't call it a hat. I call it a ball cap. All right, it's just it's a hat, right? It's a ball cap. That's what I call it. And it's apparently the cool thing to do to not take the stickers off. So naturally, me being cool like I am, I didn't take the sticker off. So lost in, I still have the foil on the front on the bill of the hat, on the bill of the cap. Wristbreaker said that's also old. Come on, let me just have one today, Wristbreaker. Can I have one? Okay. So yeah, that's normal. Wait, that's normally a snapback. What's a snapback? Wait, is the snapback the kind that has like the plastic on the back and like you punch it in like the little bumps in the holes? You snap them
on the back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But so what's the difference between a snapback and a ball cap? Nothing then, right? Absolutely nothing. So, I mean, it's like a rectangle.
Doesn't the one describe the other?
But a square is not a rectangle, right? See, this one is not necessarily fitted, Jandrel. But it's not a snapback either. It's got a clasp. All right. It's a clasp. And so like it's got a strap, but it's not a snap strap. It's just a strap with a clasp. What do you call that? A clasp? Clasp back. I think I almost ventured into non-friendly territory. So anyway, hey, Lost In, thank you for the stream streak. Appreciate that. So anyway, adjustable, is that what you call it? That doesn't sound nearly as cool as a snapback. All right, an adjustable back that clasp up. I like it, Kavichi. Thank you. Yeah, no. So this one is an adjustable back, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's just a ball cap. Now, I do have a quick question. Quick question. I'm sorry. What is the definition of a dad hat? See, like in the merchandise stores, there's something called a dad hat. What is that? See, this is ridiculous.
Is that one of those fishing hats with the brim all around it?
No,
that's
like
like
a
the
bucket
canvas.
hat. Nope, that's a bucket hat.
But that's a dad hat.
No, but our merchandise store has dad caps, has a dad hat that looks like a ball cap. So I don't know. This is listen, there is a whole world of hat etiquette out there that I don't know. And it's
I have a question
with me. Yeah.
Are you wearing a hat?
I am. Well, no, I'm wearing a ball cap.
Are you a dad?
I'm wearing a ball cap.
And is a cap not a hat?
Eh.
Okay. So you're wearing a dad hat because you're a dad wearing a hat.
Yeah, but there's like a thing that's called a dad hat or a dad cap. What is it? A dad cap? But then there's other types of, I don't know. See, obviously, none of you guys know either. Obviously, I'm not the only one that's confused by that, so I'm gonna leave it there and let you ponder on it for the next several days, okay? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. No, Cruzito's going to come in with a Wikipedia answer. Okay.
Oh,
Dad
no,
hats are low profile, unstructured, and soft, offering a comfortable everyday look, often with a buckle closure on the back. Ooh, that's what this one has. Baseball caps are more rigid with a structured front. Trucker hats, there's another trucker hats feature a high foam front, plastic mesh for breathability, and a snap-back closure providing a bold retro style. So wait, trucker hats are
okay, hold on. Trucker hats, those are the ones with the like flat brims where it's like you have like the foam on the front. Hold on.
Mm.
It's the foam in the front. You know the Vikings hat I gave you where it's like mesh in the back?
Yeah.
That's trucker hat style.
That's trucker hat.
Except not quite trucker hat style because those ones have like a...
That's a snapback. That one's a snapback. You know...
But you could have a snapback or a Velcro or the like...
This is why...
belt buckle kind.
This is why I call them a ball cap. That's it. It's a ball cap. Right? It's just a ball cap. That's where I there's too much in the world of cap hat etiquettes. Kinky Boots says, I'm English. I haven't a clue what you're talking about. Kinky, neither do I. I don't know what I'm talking about right now, okay? A covering for your head.
We know.
That's what we're going to go with right there. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in. We got a nice full audience today. Thank you. Over 200 in the live studio audience at this particular moment. Thank you for being here. Cruzito, Candy White, Zach, Mad Hatter, Captain Shaw, Kinky, Retrieving, Tarpy Strider, Wristbreaker, Eddie, and the list goes on. We've got a lot of stuff to get to. SKZ said, oh my God, just simplified. It's a hat. I agree. It's a hat. We're going to go with a hat. Also, just as a quick reminder, since we are in podcast form today, I've actually turned off the overlays. I've turned off the alerts, so we don't have to worry about that. If you guys do stuff, then I'll still see it in the activity feed, but I've turned off the alerts for today. I would like to say thank you very quickly to Lost End, Shaw, and Wykeds for your stream streaks. Check this out, Tarpy. Just a little bit ago, we had a stream streak from... Why is it not showing up in my list? I saw it. It was a 315 stream. Here it is. Spock. 325 stream streak, you legend. Legend! Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you so very much for that. I appreciate that. C Engineering, Fisty, thank you guys for your channel points. Appreciate that. Yeah, and look, Stradalorian just popped a 100. Thank you guys so very much. I appreciate it. Guys, the structure of today's show is simple. We're going to go through, we're going to talk about the stuff that we have seen. Yes, thank you for the name change, Balabom. Appreciate it. No more pack. Yeah, Pack's dead. There you go. That's the name change. We do have a lot of stuff to get to today. I've got a list. I've got a run of show from the executive producer. Sethan says, I started early today and turned off overlays, so we can't add another lost episode. I'm sure he would find a way to make that work, but I am not going for that today. We've got a lot of business to do. As a matter of fact, just quick FYI, because Noah and Kaylee showed up yesterday, I didn't do Studio B, but I'm not leaving you out. As a matter of fact, specifically, tonight's Studio B, I'm making up Studio B tonight, all right? And I'm doing it a little bit earlier than typical, so I'm not a zombie tomorrow at work. But that's why I'm saying 7 p.m. hard out. I'm planning on a Studio B probably starting somewhere between 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time. And tonight's show, just in the spirit of family and community, tonight's show will be dedicated in full to friend of the community and friend of our show, Dr. or Iron Fister. Iron Fister will get the show tonight. All right. Lots of stuff going on in Fisty's real world. He is probably the #1 fan of Studio B, and he sent me a message yesterday. He was brokenhearted that I didn't do it last night, but we're doing it tonight, and it's going to be your show, baby. So Studio B tonight, probably right around 8 p.m.-ish, between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. And there, we're going to transfer all the craziness. So as a matter of fact, I've got Go Wheel odds, and I've got bonus stream opportunities over on Studio B tonight. That'll start at around 8 or 9 p.m. Or somewhere in the middle there, okay? Also, happy birthday, Bearbutt Al. Congratulations to you. Happy birthday. And no, Zach. It can't start as late as 10:30. It's going to be between 8 and 9 p.m. And honestly, I'm trying to push closer to 8 because I was going to give you guys 2 free hours, and then we can earn a couple of extra hours, and that would still put me off around midnight. So there's going to be 2 free hours, 2 hours of bonus opportunity, plus some Go Wheel stuff, plus bonus wheel stuff or bonus stream stuff. So yeah, it's we're going to do all the craziness over there if indeed you guys want to do that. So settle yourselves up, all right? But that's part of what we do here on the podcast. We try to keep it simple. No alerts is the favorite kind of stream. I don't know. I do like alerts. I will point out too that by popular request, I have actually added stream stickers to Studio B. I did. I added stream stickers to Studio B. But I turned the volume off, Narf. So they're just going to be visual stickers. That way they don't mess with the with the music, right? We don't want them to mess with the music. But we did add stream stickers, so just the stickers, the audio won't be there. All right, but we do have a lot of stuff to get to. First thing, Tarpy, it is indeed time for us to. I tell you what, let me have you talk about this. This is your thing. It's the end of the month, the end of the arc, and our March Talking Trek STFC survey is now open. You go ahead and talk about that, and I'm assuming if I copy this link, I can just throw it in. Is that the link, the respondent link you gave me? Okay. We'll put that in, and we'll pin that up there at the top. Respondent link for the survey is up. Tarpy, tell me a little bit about that and what the items are that we need to know and what you want us to be thinking about when we take a look at our survey today.
So this survey is, unfortunately, I missed a month because there was this cruise or something in the middle there, but this is the second month of me trying to just have an overview of the year from the eyes of our listeners and our viewers. So that is a form that I would love for people, as many people as you can, to fill it out. It'll take you about 30 seconds. There's no typing required, but it's your general impressions of each arc. And so or each month. And I think we'll talk about in a few minutes how this is actually going to change a little bit coming up. So I'm actually going to have to figure out how to rename these. But these will be for each arc that we have during the year. And so there's questions like, what ops bracket are you? Are you in the main content? Are you in the mid-ops experience? And so it just asks general things like, what was the biggest issue for you? What was your favorite thing? And so what I want to do at the end of the year is just look at how did people's opinions of each month correlate with what was going on. And I've been taking some notes about some of the highlights and lowlights of each month. And so please just fill that out. It won't take you very long, and it's completely anonymous. So your email isn't collected, even though it says, hey, you have this email. No one sees that email. It's just there to sort of make sure that someone doesn't fill out the form 8 times.
I did that. I'm just kidding. I didn't do it. But yeah, it's just for authentication purposes there. But yeah, it's not actually collected in the data. So the March survey is now open. It's going to be open for 5 days through the 27th. So you guys go ahead and do that so that we can get some data there. And we'll share that out. We'll put an announcement in our chat a little bit later as well. So then we have coming up later in the show today, We're going to both Putz and Matters are going to be doing a short presentation for us a little bit later today. Putz getting into some March Madness craziness. So apparently for you basketball fans out there, we've got a little bit to do with that. And then Matters is going to talk to us about what it is that we need to know about the upcoming version of CoTA. What we're going to start with is our blog post. All right. And there were actually two of them posted. This first one is regarding Infinite Incursions. Now, this was absolutely a hot topic yesterday and crazy. And by the way, we've got call-ins turned on. So we are going to invite some people to the stage to provide some commentary on this. Thank you, Stryker, for your bits. Appreciate you. We're going to talk about this a little bit throughout the day, throughout the show, if you guys would like to call in and offer your opinion, because my early feedback gathering was wild. It was all over the map. All right. Like crazy all over the map. I heard Tiberius say that he loved it. I heard Ultravetica say that he loved it. Almost every whale I talked to said that they hated it. My own Alliance Admiral, JB, sent me a message, said he hated it. I was talking over with some of the VIPs, and they're hating it. It's wild, the wide diversity of feedback on this change. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. The changes that were made are going to be outlined in this article, and we can talk, because I feel like some of it might be a little subterfuge, and some of it might be gamer perspective. Some of it may be what your play style is with incursions. It's wild, the changes that are being made. Now, very quickly, there was something in here. One of the first things that we're going to talk about is the timing change. And I have an announcement that I'm going to make for you on that. First of all, they have shortened the 24-hour incursion window to 12 hours. All right. This event is expected now to run 8A to 8P local time. Now, for the APAC regions, that's tough, right? Because there are a gazillion local times. So APAC Infinite Incursions is going to begin on March 28th now. March 28th at 8 a.m. KST. This was, I believe, this was done to prevent an overlap with arenas. Okay, so yes, Chronox, I see it. This is March 28th now, not the 27th, but the 28th, 8 a.m. KST, which I believe is designated as, I'm bad at time zones. Is that Korean Standard Time? I don't know. What is KST?
Yes.
Retrieving.
Yes.
I hear you.
Korean Standard.
Retrieving. Stop. Literally, I see the blog. It says 27th, and I'm telling you that has been changed. All right, literally, and maybe the update, has the update even gone out yet? The announcement may not have gone out, but we're on the topic, and I'm just giving it to you right now. All right, March 28th. Yes, I know what the blog says. The blog will be updated. It might even be updated by the time I refresh, because Hammy's in the Discord right now. So it will be March 28th. March 28th at 8 a.m. KST for the APAC regions. European and U.S. regions are going to stay as they're listed here. That's March 28th at 8 a.m. UTC and 8 a.m. PDT. That's Pacific time. So that would be at 11 a.m., which for those of you who are looking for some type of correlation to the multitude of resets, would be Alliance tournament time. All right, Alliance tournament reset is the time that you're looking at doing that. So KST is Korean Standard Time, and APAC has now been bumped back one day to March 28th, 8 a.m. Korean Standard Time. Okay. And that, like I said, that was largely done because there was going to end up being an arena overlap there, which would have been such an epic mashed potato bowl of disgustingness. That would have been like, making some really good mashed potatoes, right? And then putting like vinegar in them. I don't know which one is the mashed potato. Is it incursion or is it arenas? I guess that it depends on your player perspective. But two very, very different events. And obviously we didn't want those to overlap. And that feedback was brought up. So that's been pushed back a day. All right. So there you go. Now, coming back into this article, we can talk a little bit about the time frame. Quick reminder on shields. Same thing. If you're in a level system, a level 20 or higher system, shields are going to fall. Make sure that that you have moved. All the same rules pretty much apply with regards to incursions, except for all the rules. At least the rules with regards to scoring. And we're going to talk about this coming up literally right now. Let's go through this blog, Tarpy, because there's some stuff in here that some people are liking. Other people are not. And like I had mentioned at the very beginning, it's super interesting for me to observe this feedback because this is the kind of feedback that I am best suited for. For example, yesterday I had a couple of the VIPs, a couple of the whales were like, man, if you're not all up in their face about this, I'm going to be so mad at you. And this is one of those where, like, I'll relay the feedback. I'm completely impartial on this. And that's on me because I don't play incursions. I hate raiding, you know, so I haven't played incursions in months. So we have also always looked at the feedback, and this has always been said for as long as I can remember, that one unshielded base can lose it for their server. We have seen that firsthand so many times. Griffin lost it for his server. All right, by letting himself be rated for quadrillions of resources. So there's a lot of potential conversation that can be had here. Okay, rewards, Strider, good question. I don't really see a lot of those changing. And for a lot of you guys who do want to go and raid, I don't believe, and we're going to read through this article, but I don't believe that the events themselves are changing. We're just now removing incursion base rating from the incursion scoring mechanic itself. I would imagine that you're still going to see your solo leaderboards for damage, rating, number of kills. I don't expect those to change. Okay, so you're still going to have motivation to do that. You're still going to have a reason to go do that. But the difference now is not going to be that is going to influence the server win. Okay, so yeah, Riskbreaker said it's in the blog. So let's go through the blog. All right, I'm going to come back to the PvP bans in just a moment because that's a more universal change. But here's the new Infinite Incursion narrative. They're going with a Klingon theme this month, and they are adjusting the scoring. So base rating to refocus. Now, this is an interesting choice of words. It's an interesting choice of words right here. To refocus the event on PvP and Armadas, base rating scoring will be removed from the Infinite Incursions server leaderboard. Now, this, I believe, right here, is the disconnect, right? This is the disconnect because a lot of the VIPs have indicated that their PvP in incursions comes from base rating. And by the way, it's not the act of rating a base. What would it be, Riskbreaker? What would it be, Cruzito? The PvP, Sandra, you and I had a long conversation about this yesterday. The PvP that whales get, that's right, protecting, defending the raid. Defending the base, whatever. That's where their PvP comes in. Okay. As a matter of fact, I've obviously long been an opponent of open systems because people just sit there for hours waiting for somebody to come and smack the ships when they could be out engaging. All right. If they're engaging in a base raid, whether they're the ones stealing it or whether they're the ones defending their teammates, okay, then that is where the PvP comes in. So this is an interesting sentence to me to refocus the event on PvP and Armadas, which we'll get to. Base rating scoring is going to be removed. So this is item number one that people are very, very upset about is the fact that base rating is not going to score. The difference, the one piece that doesn't have me inflamed about this, okay, is that the Raider solo leaderboard is still going to be there. The damage dealt solo leaderboard is still going to be there. The kill solo leaderboard is still going to be there. All of the individual events are still going to be there. All right. The only thing that they're changing is the massive swing in the actual incursion competition score between the two servers. Sandra says, let's be real. No one's going to engage those top players willingly. They want to get some PvP, then base raid and defense brings out ships so that they can score. Absolutely right, Sandra. I think you're 100% right. My question, and the question that I'm going to pose to the community with call-ins here in just a moment, and we're only going to have time for 3 or 4 because we've got other stuff to get to. So if you have an opinion on this right here, then go ahead and call in, or you can raise your hand on Discord stage. The question, Sandra, becomes, will this actually kill base rating? And I don't think that it will. Me, myself, and I don't think that it will, because what I think is going to happen is players are still... Why do people play in arenas? Aside from the rewards, which are lame, all right? But why do people play in arenas? So that they can steal crap from the other server, right? I mean, me personally, I feel like a lot of players are still going to go over and look for a server, look for a resource injection from another server. Okay. Guffa said it's weird to make so many assumptions when it hasn't happened yet, and obviously I think you're right, and I want to see how it plays out. But I got to be honest with you, I am not 1,000% sure that this is going to kill rating. All right. SKZ says, you mean base rating is not dead already? It is not. Okay? It's not for the purposes of rating. Now, Nutella says you'll never get to Sigma in 12 hours. Yeah, totally agree. Nobody gets to Sigma in 24 hours either. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody ever gets to Sigma in rating. That's a totally different conversation that we can have today, okay? Totally have that conversation. Okay, says the resources that are rated are useless. For many people, that's a tough one. For G7 players, absolutely. I'd say for G6 players, maybe what? Tarpy 65 and higher. I would also agree that it's useless.
Yeah.
But for 64 and down, resources are still pretty big. Okay? And that is the majority of the game still. Okay? Now, Sandra says this issue maybe, okay, I got it. The issue is people, yeah, because they've changed it to attacking, right? The Armadas, from what we know, the Armada event is going to only be on the attacking server. So like if you're the attacker, you've got to go over to the other server. So if everybody crosses over, and by the way, true story, we had this conversation at the very beginning of Incursions. We were trying to figure out how the daggone thing could work a little bit better. When you tell everybody to go to the other server, now they're on the other server, but there's still no fighting because everybody's on the other servers. Right? There's still nobody there to play against each other because everybody moved over, which is why I had always advocated for a home field and an away field, right? Incursions need to be set up in doubleheader scenarios. I maintain that. I said that 2 years ago. I'm going to say it again. They need to be set up in doubleheader scenarios in which, let's say, 15 and 17 are going to go together. All right, so in matchup number 1, 15 is the home field. 17 is all coming over to 15. That's everybody. We've got everybody on 15, and we're defending. We're defending our home field. And then game 2, flip it around. Game 2, flip it around. Now everything from 15 is going over to 17. Okay? That's what I wanted years ago. Now, Riskbreaker said that's what the 12-hour cycle used to be. That's correct. It was. And the problem with that were time zones, right? You had a serious disadvantage if you were in the overnight time zone. So that's why I said that it needed to be broken up in 2 different events. Like everything. And by the way, that would give extra life to the incursion matchup cycle too, because essentially 2 different months, you would have the same matchup. 1 month, you were the home team. And the next month, you were the away team. All right. The only problem with the 12-hour cycles in that form risk breaker was the overnight cycle, right? And that would be really rough. Then they changed it to 4 to 6 hour cycles, which just confused people, and that didn't really work super well either. All right. But there is a method to the madness, right? Where you've got to get people on the same server. So Sandra's right about that. Got to get people on the same server. So that's problem number one with this new design. Is, as Putz pointed out in our chat earlier, Tarpy, they haven't learned the lessons of the past. It's like whoever rewrote this wasn't here for the incursion rewrite 2 years ago or whenever it was, 2.5 years ago. It's like they missed that entire conversation because these things right here are the exact same mistakes that we've already made. And I think Putz is exactly right. These are the same mistakes, Sandra. Would you not agree? These are the same mistakes that Scopely has already made. And putting people on the opposite service. If everybody crosses over, then nobody's going to be over here to fight. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is, in my opinion, at least until we see the first run, not as much of a problem. Because I do still think people are going to raid. All right? I think raiding today, as somebody said, raiding material or raiding resources is useless. So why do people still do it? They are useless. For me, all right, they're useless. And you'd have to raid hundreds and hundreds of scoops in order to get the progress needed for one building, for example. It's not like it was back in G3 when you can go raid a base for 20 minutes and get a building knocked out. Okay? It's not that way anymore. If it were, then raiding would be better. If I could get Sigma, then raiding would be better. It would be a huge fundamental shift and a return of a core game mechanic that has been ignored for the better part of 4 years. Isn't that crazy? Raiding hasn't. When did the amalgam come? I'm going to guess between 3 and 4 years ago. Chris says we did it just for scoring and incursions. So let me ask the question, and maybe I'm wrong on this because I have always played with a sense of pride. All right? I do. When I do things, I try to play with a sense of pride. And I know a lot of people do. That's the whole purpose of a solo leaderboard, right? Is pride. So if rating is not a part of just, by the way, the server v server scoreboard, but there's still going to be solo leaderboards there. There's still going to be solo leaderboards there. Okay? Then I'm not entirely convinced that you're going to see the end of rating, to be honest with you. All right? I think that people will still do it. There's still going to be damage dealt, right? So your PvPers are still going to be able to score in that leaderboard. There's still going to be number of kills. So your PvPers are going to be able to score in that. And everybody can score in that if they can pop a minor. All they've done is take this out of the server v server. And I believe that was done because it has long been the feedback that one unshielded whale can ruin it for a server. Hasn't there also been feedback that one disgruntled player can throw it for their server? Right? Don't we see that too? I mean, I know I've heard that. Okay? So I'm kind of wondering if this is not an attempt to kind of quell that a little bit. Okay? So now the questions or the conversation that's coming up in chat, which again, Cruzito, Star Ocean, Algrama, Riskbreaker, Retrieving, anybody, feel free to raise your hands and we can talk a little bit about this because I want to spend about 5 or 7 more minutes on this thing. What would you have done differently with this particular change? And maybe we should go to the second piece. They're adding Klingon Armadas. Now, to me, this does nothing for PvP. Absolutely nothing. And there's only one reason why. There is only one reason why, chat. Say it with me. Everybody knows what it is. What is the one reason that will prevent any sort of PvP in Armadas under any circumstance, period, hard stop, fail, did not think this through, missed the mark, Scopes? Cloaking. Cloaking.
But there are, if someone finds you running an armada, they theoretically can hit your ship before you can leave, unless you are real quick on your disco. So you can still run the armada, but then they can still kill you right after it.
Which does nothing for the server v server leaderboard because you still got the kill.
Nope.
You still got the armada off. So in my mind, there's absolutely no offense or defense here whatsoever. There is no server v server because as a defender, I can do nothing. Period. Hard stop. I cannot prevent that armada. Now, crazy thought. If you were to disable cloaking for the run of incursions, I would be...
Or fog of war.
Fog of war doesn't matter because I can cloak.
Well, no, everyone else can see you because right now you also have, from the person who's trying to find any armada that's being run, they have to NX01 each system or leave a ship in every system on the other server or on their own server. So it's like you have to look for someone running armadas, and that's annoying.
Well, it is. Yeah.
Right?
Yep, I can see that point.
Take out fog of war.
Take out fog of war, remove cloaking, and maybe you have something that can go. Waffly says you can steal the armada. That's true. But with the number of armada speed ups that are in existence today, that's probably, I mean, it's certainly possible. Okay, Waffle, you're exactly right. You could steal the armada from somebody else. Here's the funny thing. The way that I understand it is that the armada scoring is only going to work if you're on the other server. So if I'm on my server and I want to steal somebody's armada, I'm still not getting points. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay? If I'm only scoring points as an attacker, then where's the incentive for me to steal the armada on my own server? Okay? And
So
this is the
next question. Yeah. So I don't want to give Scopely ideas here, but they are running incursions for 12 hours and leaving the exos up for 24. If I want to run my armadas and get my month of loot with my loot exo, why would I do it in the Klingon systems? And why would I do it during incursions?
Well, the loot exo comes. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of the point.
Why?
That's kind of the point.
If the rewards, this is what I've been saying the whole time, is if the rewards for those events are not absolutely lovely, wonderful, I will miss something huge if I don't do them. I don't see why anyone's going to run those armadas.
Well, come on, guys. You do still have, the 250% research boost that you have to deny yourself if you're going to take a loot exo. I mean, right?
Oh, that's even a thing. You can't even, if you win incursions in the middle of the night, you can't use the loot exo the other 12 hours. And if you do care about that research exo.
You just got to dump the research exo. There's a lot of structural problems here. Okay, a lot of structural problems that they have not taken into consideration here, and I want to be really clear that these are not new conversations, which is wild to me. This is not new stuff. This is stuff that we've talking about. Now, continuing on with the blog post, PvP killing still going to be a thing. Damage, still going to be a thing. All right, that's all going to be a thing. I do think some people will still raid. That's fine. Maybe not as much. But what they have done here to remove the mechanic of base defense, they've hampered PvP. By adding armadas, they've hampered it more because of cloaking. And a lot of the chat thinks that fewer people are going to raid. Now, I do think that, mathematically speaking, objectively speaking, I do think that fewer people will raid. I just don't think it's going to be non-existent because some people just go raid because they love raiding. Okay? And it's not even because they need the resources. It's because they'll go for the thrill of raiding somebody on a new server. All right? Some people do that. That happens. So I'm fine with that still happening, and hopefully the servers will find a way to still be able to coordinate and come together to call on your whales. Like K92 says, I don't raid. I show up when they shoot off the canine tooth signal, the canine signal up into the sky, and I go and I defend. All right, which by the way is the position of literally every whale I spoke to. All right, because and by the way, it's not even whales; it's op 65 and higher. Why? Because raiding is absolutely pointless for us. It's absolutely pointless for us. If I go in incursions and defend a raid or attack a raid or whatever, first of all, I'm super not effective because I'm squishy. But even if I do go, I don't go with an amalgam. I go with my warships because at least I might be able to run some interference because I don't give a damn about what I get. All right. Vul says defending raids is a lot of fun. And that's what the whales say. It's for their team. They don't go. Cruzito says I lose a lot of trite. That doesn't seem to stop people. You've never gotten the tritanium back in incursions, even with the incursion leaderboard. You've never gotten it back. All the raiding solo leaderboard and the damage, none of it even gives resources. It gives the other stuff. It gives the incursion exo currency. It gives incursion event store stuff. It gives building parts to that thing that nobody cares about, right? So now Cruzito says, which is why I don't defend. Well, you're selfish. You're selfish. PvP is always going to be a trite drain. But up until this point, it hasn't stopped people from doing that, right? It hasn't stopped people from doing that. So that's where I come in with this change. And I'm not sure that it still will stop people from doing it, to be honest with you. Okay. I do have two people on the stage. Let's come to Cruzito first. Cruzito, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. What do you got on this particular change? Armada's obviously a dead fail. Okay. That's a dumb idea. Unless there's other mechanical changes to go with it. But Armadas is not intelligent. But there does seem to be a lot of favor for removing rating from the server v server leaderboard to prevent either a bad actor or a negligent whale for throwing it for their server. What are your thoughts?
So I think with the rating piece, I think you're onto something, right? I think maybe removing it might be too much. Maybe if they would have just cut the scoring in half, that might have been a better thing. So they would have still incentivized people to do it. Maybe with the defending piece. I think the people that were going to raid are still going to raid regardless. I think the people that are going to defend are still going to defend regardless. So I don't think that's a big issue. I do think, though, that there are folks that, and it's happening more and more, in which they're intentionally throwing it for their server, or they're just, being lazy at it because, again, PvP in general has gone down, which means people don't care because, you're infamous at this point. We're like, hey, I'll just leave them up. I get braided all the time.
Infamous.
Who cares? Because
or famous. Two different words.
Infamous.
Two different words, as I've learned.
Yeah, you're infamous for that. I mean, you could be famous for it, but I would be more along the lines it's a negative. As for the Armada piece, I think there's one thing, and I don't know if it's going to apply across the board. If you look at the G6 stuff or the Armadas in there, they're solos. And as we've talked about, most people didn't build G6 ships, which are the cloakable ships. So they're using their specialty ships. So maybe in that aspect, you're going to have to be very quick on that. But I still don't think it's going to be a game changer for that piece. As far as the regular FKR group ones, okay, you got the cloak ship, so it's not really going to matter anyways. Other than just maybe you show up and you have people that are lazy that run their Armada, leave, and ships are lying around.
Okay, I can get behind most of that. The scoring piece, though, if I'm not mistaken, help me out with this. If anybody's got the scoring metrics, I don't know that you can half the points. Pretty sure Parsteel's already 1 point. Now, one thing that they could do to incentivize the defense, to incentivize raiding PvP, which also has been suggested for 2 years, is to make it, you can't do half points retrieving, which I know sounds dumb, but you can't do half points. But another thing that they could do is, I saw this in chat, changing it to docked resources. All right.
Yeah. Now,
that I think would be a huge impact.
Yeah, I've been advocating that since the first time that they introduced raiding and it became, the one base could kill it. Because if you go to docked, that means now defending, if you're going to do it, actually matters. Because now
That's
you're going,
right. It does. It's a difference.
At this point, I go hit the amalgam, and even if you kill my ship on the way back to my base, it don't matter. I got the point, so who cares?
Actually, I think you should step it up. We should suggest a step up and say that if you kill an amalgam or any survey ship that has resources, okay, you get 10 times the points of those resources on that ship. So that means you only have to kill 10% of the amalgams or whatnot that are trying to return, and you can totally negate that base's points against your score.
You are massively mathematically imbalanced there. Massively imbalanced.
Why? Why would that be imbalanced? Why would that be imbalanced? To say that you only have to defend and kill 10% of the people that are trying to raid this base, and you've totally negated the score that's going against you for that base. I think that's pretty fair in this day of, with all the lag and ghost ships and whatnot and targeting issues. 10% would be a pretty good, pretty attainable target to balance it out.
I think it's you, but right. I don't disagree with you on it. I think, and I'm going to just put on my engineer hat, I think the easiest thing would be switch it to docked. And I'm assuming the only reason they have not done it is that they don't either have the technology, even though we've seen it on other events, or that it would be a massive undertaking for them to do it. I can't see any other reason why they haven't tried a docked mechanic before just saying, we're going to remove it altogether.
Well, I agree. Docked is a hook that exists. I have no idea why they refuse to use it here. It's been suggested for a long time, so I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, let me ping you for one more thought here, and then we'll move forward. Do you believe that removing it just from the server v server leaderboard does in fact balance the server v server leaderboard a little bit, even if all of the other raid and defense and damage and all those other leaderboards stay there? Because first of all, chase them, Cruzito, but I have seen people who chase those leaderboards. I mean, that does exist, right?
Yeah, and again, I think, separating the two out, right? I think those people that were going to raid or PvP or whatever it is, I think they're still going to do it, right? I may not necessarily do it because it's not going to pay me out in a reward that's valuable. But I can see, in the lower ops that, yeah, it's absolutely going to be great for them. I think it's good. At the same time, it does lessen some of the pressure for those players that don't want to participate in it and have to worry about, with the shield and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think it's a little bit of both, but I think until they give us decent rewards for those, and maybe they will, who knows, right? Maybe those leaderboards now will actually pay something of value that will make me want to go now and participate, not just for scoring, but for actually winning the leaderboard.
Well, they're not changing. So they are what they are. Okay, those are going to change.
Right. So in that case, right.
If the server v server leaderboard could potentially change since they've messed with it, but I expect not. I expect that this is a scoring metric change only. And I don't think that the rewards are going to change. Cruzito, thank you for your time. Lube, Lube points out and is absolutely correct, because we've had this conversation with them before and I'd forgotten about it. So Lube, thank you for reminding me. Docking with the event in its current form will not work because you're right. They cannot tell the source of the resources. All right. So you could hit your own player and that would happen. No, actually, I just poked a hole in my own theory. I was going to say that reinforces the home field versus away, but you could still have a server. You could still raid your own server mate on your own server. So, yeah, that's not going to work either. Yeah, so Lube's right. And I had forgotten about that. We had talked about that in years past. I had forgotten about that conversation. Lube, thank you for reminding me. They cannot determine, the tech does not exist for them to determine the source of the resources. So you can't raid an attacker's or a defender's resource and it know that it's not somebody from your own stream, right? Like that, or from your own server. They cannot do that. And Lube is right. We had this meeting with them years ago, and they told us. Now, of course, that was 2 years ago. Although I sincerely doubt rating tech hasn't changed at all. So I am sure that they have not changed any of that rating tech to make any of that work. But if they were to actually invest a little bit of time and money into rating, all right, then they might be able to pull something like that off. And by the way, we're not just talking about identification of resources. We're talking about let's change the mechanic of rating to make it viable in today's economy. All right. You can still, as an Ops 20 or an Ops 30, guys, you can raid like for 10 minutes and be set for a month on resources. Like, it's so broken now. It is so broken now, raiding as a whole, which is why they've never taken on the project of tackling it, because the scale of their own economy has destroyed raiding. All right. It is worthless for Ops 65 plus, and even arguably in G4 and G5, you have to raid for hours to be able to do a single building. I remember that being a complaint of mine, is that in G4 and G5, I had to raid for hours to get any meaningful progress on a building. But back in the G3 days, back when you were cracking bases with a baby jelly and a North Star, all right, you could raid with a Horizon. That's the level 26 miner. You could raid with a Horizon and get what? 10, 12 scoops and actually be able to do a building? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a big deal back then. It's not the case anymore. The amalgam has changed it, and their scale of economy has changed it to the point where I don't know that there is a good fix for rating. All right? They need to have one. They need to have a fix for rating. You know, not my job to write it. But hang on, Putz. But they do need to do something to bring rating as a core mechanic of this game back to the centerfold. Jules has actually written a theory on it, and I think it's a great idea. I've actually even brought up Sigma rating to them, and they are very, very nervous about this. They describe it as high impact, and I don't know. I don't really know if I agree with that, to be honest with you. But suffice to say, I think they're very nervous about Sigma rating, and I don't really fully understand why. But B, if they're uneasy about it, it's probably not going to happen. All right, Putz, go ahead, and then we've got another caller. Go ahead.
Yeah. So real quick, the reason why that they are probably hesitant on Sigma rating is because your average server doesn't have all that much Sigma. I mean, they do, but they don't. If you look at the number of players that are G6 and above, and maybe just assume that everybody has like 10 million Sigma trit, for example, that's not very much trit to be in the galaxy to be scooping that away, not as compared to the other, the regular resources. But what I really wanted to ask was, when did the amalgam, like, what ops can you get the amalgam and what ops can you max it out? Because I think I remember, like, most all of my base stuff, my Sigma tar steel and stuff through the 40s and 50s were all taken care of by raids. So it didn't take many scoops, 1 or 2 scoops, and you're getting billions of resources.
You can get it in the 20s and you can max it at 41, if I remember correctly, because G5 was barely out.
Which,
yeah.
So that in and of itself just proves how rating is broken even for G3 now. G3 rating used to be impactful, used to be high impact. It is no longer. Okay. I mean, it's actually over impactful. You can take one scoop and do 15 buildings. All right. So you can't do stuff like that. Lost In, you're exactly right, but I'm curious as to why. What is your perspective? Lost In says they're nervous about Sigma rating. Why? Answer: money. On which side of the aisle? Because here's the deal. You're right. Sigma rating would be high impact, right? It would be valuable. But go back to the days when bases would get zeroed. And by the way, we're talking about pre-tokens also. When bases were zeroed, players lost their minds about being rated to nothing. They lost everything. It was high stakes, high reward. Why shouldn't that exist for spending players? Right? Why shouldn't those stakes exist for leading edge players? I feel like it probably should, but I also feel like that is a mechanic that would anger a lot of people if they were on the end of it that gets rated, like me. All right. I wouldn't be mad about it, by the way, because I've never gotten mad about rating, but people would, right? People would. All right. Lost In says because in G7 the biggest roadblock is the biggest roadblock is trite, and my only source is to rate it. Listen, I'm not suggesting massive amounts. As a matter of fact, Jules had written this up, and I don't think it's ready yet, so we can talk about it another time. But Jules has started on a mathematical plan for rating, which for Sigma rating, which I think is brilliant, by the way. Okay, I think it's brilliant. He was talking about, because to be honest with you, to be completely fair, I'll give you a little bit of insight into this. I don't want it to be a ship. I don't think it's as simple as being a skin. Okay. Should it be monetized in some form or fashion? Maybe for higher bonuses, but no, it should be made available to everybody, at least up front. Okay. Would you want to, Jules had developed almost a 10-level prime for this thing. Not necessarily a prime, but 10 varying levels of research where it might start off at 0.05%, right? Which, by the way, is not a lot, but at least it's a drip. Now you're starting to get some. And unless you actively commit to rating Lost In, it's still not going to be enough for you to do your stuff, but it could actually start to become helpful, right? It could start to become a mechanic that at least earns you some. Okay? Savage Darkness says $100 for 0.01%. No, it was a little bit healthier than that. But I'm also like, I think I don't want it to be monetized in such a way. To be honest with you, it shouldn't be. This was my conversation when I did actually bring this up with Connor. I said, listen, you call it high impact, which automatically means that, if you're going to want to do it, you're going to want to sell it for a lot of money. This is a core game mechanic that has been abandoned for far too long. You want to make the game better and bring balance to the game. We need our core mechanics back. All right. We need PvP back in a way that matters, right? We need rating back in a way that matters. So with Sigma, here's bad take. I think it should be, I agree with Jules that it should be a multi-level research, probably locked by ops, but it should not be paid for. It should be grindable. It should be done with in-game currency that allows me to research and improve my ability to start having an impact with Sigma rating. All right? That's period. Plain and simple. To me, this is going to fall in the exact same boat as Disco Prime. And by the way, if it ever comes out and it's pay only, I will fundamentally refuse. I will fundamentally refuse because this is a core game mechanic. Quality of life, if you will. All right? It needs to be brought back. Con Solo Parker is on our stage. Con, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Let's spend a couple more minutes on incursion changes, and then I'm going to transition over to PvP. What do you got on this thing? What's your take?
Well, first off, it is free to play right now. Like, you can drain, be dedicated. and bring that base down to be able to get to the Sigma, no?
Yes, you can. I think the fundamental problem with that is the amount of time that it would take to get to the Sigma.
Well, but that's the point, is that it is such a commodity that you should be dedicated to be able to go for it. And then I do agree that it should be monetized if you want to get an accelerated version towards that.
I would totally agree with that, Con, except for if the player throws a shield, then my progress is 0. That's the one X factor. That's the X factor.
I've been there. Trust me, I've been 12 hours in, right there, right about to get 20 million Sigma, and boom, he puts up that shield.
Yeah.
It hurts and it sucks, but that's part of the game. This is what it is, right?
I don't necessarily disagree that it should be available, and you're right, it is. I guess what I'm saying is I would want my progress in Sigma to not necessarily take 12 hours before I could start, right?
Right, and that's why it should be monetized.
Well,
I'm totally down for like an artifact or for a skin or for a research or something like that. I will be the first one to buy all 12 of those, 20 of those tiers. I have always been dedicated to this incursions. This has been the one thing that has kept me into the game, and they are destroying what I have absolutely loved about this game for the last 2 years, and it hurts my soul.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the PvP and the lack of rating in the server v server leaderboard. You're a high level player. Tell me, a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from the G7 community has been, this is a bad change. Tell me why.
Yeah. Well, again, just Cruzito, my brother from a different alliance, we're on the same server. He talks about not having to defend. Well, that's because I do all the defending on the server. When it comes to all those SLBs, I am number 1 every single time. I dedicate 18, 20 hours to try and make sure that I come first in damage dealt, rating, everything along those lines. It's just something that's fun for me, and just always trying to keep with that, getting my alliance to want to support and wanting to rally together to try and hunt down those bases. And we come up with different strategies you take this section of systems, you take this section of systems. And when we all finally find that one giant base and we all start raiding together, there's no better feeling. Everyone coming together, everyone just, hitting that base as fast as humanly possible. It makes my alliance on the server why everyone wants to be in it.
And I love everything about that. I love everything about that. Do you think that by removing it just from the server v server leaderboard, that will take that away from you guys?
100%.
Really?
These people only raid to be able to win for the server. They don't raid for themselves or for that XSLB. They have no care for that. They care for winning for the server.
So what about the leaderboards? Will that have an impact on people still wanting to compete?
Well, now for me, that I rated to become first in that XSLB and to be able to score points for the server. Now, if it's heavily PvP in Armada, that's totally shifting my gears. I'm now going to be hunting in those Klingon systems and trying to take out all these Armadas, even though they're going to be cloaked, and it's going to be frustrating as all heck. That's going to totally kill me wanting to go raid. 100%. It's going to take my time away.
So, all right. I'm kind of wondering and focusing in there. So you're gonna, as a player, you're gonna take some time away from raiding, which will reduce the PvP opportunity. With base defense, that's gonna make you not as available for the rest of your team to go and feed and go and raid, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we can probably agree on the Armadas piece of this. I feel like this is a total miss.
Yeah. 100%.
What if you were going to change the event in such a way that one base doesn't either win it or ruin it for a server? What would you actually choose to do with it? I think Armadas is the wrong answer, but I do believe that changing the value of rating in some form or fashion probably does need to happen, right? Don't you?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's no real easy solution to that question. I would say maybe if there was some sort of way that while defending a base that's being, losing it for the server, if you were to kill 100 ships or something, it would put on an extra 10-minute shield onto that base, or do something just to slow it down even more, trying to get that person online, like try and add some incentives to help defend. But I still believe in the core of wanting to base raid and to work together in that regard. And then also the exact opposite of base defense. Like there has to be some sort of as people want to raid, there should be an incentive for people to want to defend as well.
Well, I do agree with you there. We've tried to find mechanics that will reward just that, as Cruzito points out, since he doesn't have to. But obviously, and I'm sure that
yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're trait negative when this is all said and done, right? You have to be.
Big time. But I don't care. It's so much fun for me. I love it.
Okay. So, and that, by the way, is an important piece that I think some people don't share your enthusiasm on, is they want to be net positive on an event. I think sometimes, particularly with PvP, there is like the pride of it, the organization of it, or just the power of it to be able to go and a lot of the PvP, even when I used to PvP, I didn't care about the trait loss because it was fun to be able to actually go into real battle. So I can totally understand that perspective, and I think some players miss that perspective because PvP has never in this game been about profit. Never, ever, ever,
exactly.
ever, ever. It's been about the fun of it, which is one of my biggest complaints in the way that PvP has been monetized. I can't keep up with it anymore. You know, I used to, back in G3, PvP was great. Everybody was close, right? Like, I mean, if you could spend some money, you could have some bigger ships or some better officers, and you would likely win. But then maybe the next person who came back and double tapped you would lose, or the third person would come back and you would finally bite it. When was the last time one of your ships died in incursions?
Oh, I die a lot. Don't like. There was one. I want a perfect example at the very end. There was like 4 72s with all their vengeances against me while I'm trying to defend. And I'm getting out, I'm killing 2 or 3, but then they have all their lower levels stinging me and doing the trash can thing, and then doing this, and always, weakening me so that it didn't matter. Eventually they'd get me. And it was just, it's everyone working together and getting to blow me up. If I had thought of always wanting to stay net positive, I would have never have met Jason V-Neck and having to go against him and him coming his vengeance against mine and trying to strategize to how to blow me up. Like, just having all that fun together and getting to meet content creators and going against people. Like, I look forward to being able to try and go against some of these monsters like Lost In and all these other giants. Like, I won't be able to take them on, but I'll try. I'll do everything I can.
I love that part of it, because for me, arenas, same way. Incursions was always about, for me, it was about getting to play with other people. And that's why maybe that perspective taints the feedback from the community a little bit, because although I'm hearing it from you, I just wonder how many people won't raid simply because they don't get to go raid a friend that they've had on Discord for a really long time, or won't get to go PvP against somebody. I just, and maybe that's a smaller percentage of the community than I think. But that's why I think that participation will still be there, regardless of the server v server mechanic, because to me, it's always been about going and meeting new people anyway.
Yeah, but again, putting in that Klingon Armada thing, that's going to totally destroy that perspective. I really do. I think it's going to absolutely obliterate it.
Very well could. One other thing that is probably, and this may be the most confusing, head-scratching thing, and then and I'm going to ask you about this, and then we'll move back to Discord or another topic. The 12-hour window. Con, this to me feels weird. We've experimented with 12-hour windows in the past, and it's always had the same feedback, right? People have work. there are night shifters out there. There's second shifters out there.
Exactly.
And then just time zones. Look at poor APAC. My gosh, the APAC region spans 12 time zones by itself, you know? So, like, when one person goes to bed, the other one is waking up. And so to cram, you know, in particular, APAC, but even in the EU and US, I mean, you've got people that work at night. So it feels like, you know, Putz, I had mentioned this take earlier, Con. I'll get your feedback. It feels like whoever has designed some of these changes weren't here the first time we made changes to incursions, because these are a lot of the same mistakes. A 12-hour window for me is, I'm going to use an inflammatory word. I don't mean for it to be inflammatory, but it's time zone discrimination. All right, or professional employment discrimination. I mean, people work overnight. We got doctors, nurses, emergency responders. We got people that work 24 hours a day. You know,
how many weeks did you have where arenas was only down to 8 hours, and everybody and their mother was crying about it, and it's not enough time. We need 24 hours. It was stream after stream after stream, and now we're going to be playing with times again. And it just, it makes no sense to me.
Well, we did the same thing.
I don't know, like, who can we talk to here? Like, let's get some bespoke.
I don't know. We did the same thing. I mean, when incursions first started, they were 12-hour, you know, cycling for attack and defense. Then they tried to drop it to 6 hours, and the feedback was universal. Like, hey, just and which was why I still, to this day, years later, Lube, still think that a pair up needs to last 2 months, right? Just like baseball. Right? Just like basketball. All right. You play some home, you play some away. You know, I think every server matchup needs to consist of 2 cycles, one of which you're dumping everybody onto the home server, and the other of which you're dumping everybody onto the away server. That way, as Sandra points out, you can force the PvP. You're not crossing over where everybody is still going to miss everybody. You're going to put everybody on one server and then everybody else on one server the next time around. Give players a home field advantage for one run of incursion, and then next month they're the visitors. It works that way in literally any other sport or any other type of competition in the world.
Yeah, I agree. It's just there are so many different servers and so many people I do want to play against that, I mean, it would take a while to get through all of the legacy servers. So, I mean, sure, but I would like to speed that up then, and then let's make it a bi-weekly thing rather than a monthly.
Okay. Well, and if rating were to become less detrimental to servers, maybe it is something they could look at speeding up. But for the record, I don't think that they're going to do that. They're already out of time when it comes to filling in a bunch of other events and so forth, and on their development cycle, they're behind. It feels like more often than not. So I don't see that happening.
Maybe they can just start fixing the game and allow more of these things in here so that they don't have to put out so much content.
Well,
you know,
hey,
maybe, you know, deal with that lag.
Hey, we've been screaming for that too. You know, just slow down on some features, like, and it almost felt like they did for a month or two, and then it just got out of control again. So
ramped right back up.
It really did. It really did. All right, Con, thank you very much. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. We've got more call-ins. Thank you so much, Con. Appreciate that. We got more call-ins. You guys could raise your hands, and I'm going to come to more, but I want to move on to the next piece here. We've talked about the incursions part. Let's talk briefly about the PvP bans. This is going to be a universal change, okay? PvP bans, universal change. They are finally making an adjustment here. Now, I do also believe that this is derived from feedback. I'm going to use these words carefully. I believe it's derived from feedback, and I think it's long overdue to make a change in PvP banding. However, big exclamation point, this is not the way to do it. This is not the solution. And I have said this and said this and said this and said this for months and months, if not years. Okay, this is not the way to do this. All right, I want there to be. All right, I'm just going to throw it out here. All right, and then I'm gonna sit back and let you guys all yell at me. I think there should be no PvP ops banding. I think there should be no PvP ops banding whatsoever. You know what it should be? It should be ship type, ship rarity, shipyard style banding. Okay? That's what it should be. I want, as a 72, to be... No, Chris. Hear me out. Okay? I got you, Chris. I want to make it even for the lower level players. I want to make it generation based. Not even generation. Deeper. I want it to be deeper. Okay? I want it to be within one tier of ship of what I'm trying to hit. Okay? If I am going to go hit a level 39 flying an Enterprise, guess what? I need to fly an Enterprise. Or a rare, or perhaps a G4 uncommon. That's the span. That's all I would give. Okay? And really not even up. I would say down. And by the way, I would still win. Chris, I would still win. I got 30 levels of research on you. I've got officers, artifacts. I'm still going to win. But you know what?
Oh, yeah.
You know what the difference is there? The difference is on that is that you stand a chance. Okay? And I don't mean you, me, head to head, standing up, like going on a fight, right? But what we're going to have there is the opportunity for 2 or 3 or 4 of your teammates to finally take me out instead of me having God mode. Okay? That's where I'm going with that. I'm hearing noise. Does that matters?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on?
How you doing? I'm going to come back to you here in just a moment, all right? I'm on a thought. Yeah, even that, Shiz, I'm actually okay with that. He says give him a handicap. The higher player has to use one lower ship than the lower player could be flying. Absolutely. I'm good with that. Now, by the way, does that tech exist? Not a chance. Not a chance. Can that tech be developed? Sure. Can. Will they? Doubt it. We've been asking for that tech for years. Literally, for years. By the way, then, you're still going to have problems with specialty ships, Borg cubes, junkers, relativities. Those, you got problems there too. All right? So I'm not saying that my idea is the end-all, be-all. But this right here, ops level banding, I would have just as soon preferred them not change anything. All right? Because this does not solve the problem. Under any circumstance, no matter what you do, this does not solve the problem. All right? Let's take a look at a random ops level. Somebody, by the way, Jules made this graphical representation. Love this, by the way. And I believe that he made this in this form for exactly this reason, because that is cool art right there. That reminds me of like paint by numbers. I love this right here. This is beautiful. Okay? Shout out Jules for amazing color by number art. Okay? This is beautiful. All right, Scalyback says Ops 58. Sure, let's take a look at Ops 58. Ops 58 used to be able to hit down to 38 and could be hit by an Ops 77. Scaly, you used to be able to be hit by an Ops 77. Okay? I'm sorry, that's incorrect. As an Ops 58, you could get hit by anybody. Anybody Ops 38 and higher. Now, you're limited to 77. Now, somebody tell me where the balance comes. Can Scalyback compete against an Ops 77? No. No. That fixes nothing. That fixes nothing. On Ops 58, and by the way, it's Ops 78 now. Ops 78. Okay? So his band got shrunk by 2 ops levels. It used to be 80, now it's 78. Big whoop. Let's drop down a little bit. Ops 39. There's a substantial change here. Ops 39 used to be able to be hit by an Ops 60. And they could punch all the way down to Ops 25. Let me ask, can an Ops 39 player punching down to 25, was that ever going to be even? No, it wasn't. Now they've tightened it up a little bit. 39 can be hit down to 30 and up to 49. I actually like that a little bit better. Okay, truthfully, I do. I like that a little bit better for Ops 39. But Cruzito asked the really good question, what is balance? What is considered balance? Well, to me, balance is the ability to die. Okay? It's the ability to die. If I can go with my ship, and that's why I asked Khan this a moment ago, if I can go with my ship, or Lost In can go with his ship, and literally never die, is that a good PvP experience? Now, Killer Angel says 1 or 2 below, and you can still hit up. Here's the problem. And by the way, I am cognizant on both sides of this aisle, okay? The reason you can't use ops, period, is because, can we remember, community, what % of the game is in G7? What % of the game exists in the G7 community? Star Ocean says 6%. That's higher than I thought it was. I thought it was around 2%. Chris says 3%. I haven't looked at updated numbers in the last few weeks. All right. It could be as high as 6%, Star Ocean. I last time I looked, it was 1.8%. 1.8%. But admittedly, I looked like 3 or 4 weeks ago. All right. So I haven't looked in the last couple of weeks. Maybe some people made the jump this month. It could be as high as 2, maybe 2.5% now. If you go with ops level banding, nobody in G7 will ever have anybody to hit. All right. You can't go 1 to 2 ops levels down. They'll never have anybody to hit. You know, like that can never happen. So this is why I'm saying ops banding doesn't fix anything. Nothing. Okay? Absolutely zero. Which is why I think this change is silly. All right. Now, down at the lower ops level ranges, obviously there's probably some improvement. And if I would have to guess, Ice Wolf, I think you hit the nail on the head. Is this nonsense worth it for 2% of the game? Well, I think we're being a little bit vain, Ice Wolf. This change wasn't designed.
Where does most of the money come from?
Well, okay, fair. Most of the money probably does come from that 2%. But this change wasn't made for the 2%. This change was made for new G3. This change was made for new G2. This change was made to prevent churn. 1,000%. I would bet a paycheck on it. All right? By the way, I still don't think it's right. I still don't think it's right. Okay? I mean, an Ops 28 being able to get hit by an Ops 36? Well, you know what? Hang on. Ops 28. That's a really nice spot, to be honest with you. Ops 28 up to 36. That's doable. An Ops 28 with a Max Sally could totally take out a brand new 36. And by the way, we're not just talking about base rating here, guys. This is PvP. All right? Not incursions, not territory. This is PvP, brand spanking new. Okay? New generation galaxy-wide caps. Okay? So this is not about base rating. This is about player killing player. PvP. All right? So, you know what, Burton? I take it back. Well, and actually, I don't take it back. This reinforces what I was saying. This change was made for lower level players. It's not for us. All right? And why it gets wider as you go down here. It can't be changed for us. Because there's so few people up in G7, if you go with tight ops banding, they're not going to have anybody to play with. We just heard Khan say he will go and support his entire team. What if he showed up and could not actually hit anybody? What if Lost In, who is what now, 75? Did Lost In just hit 75 or is he still 74? All right.
I think he's still 74.
74. Okay. What if he showed up to a raid and there's literally nobody he can hit? Well, I guess he's going to go home, right? Guess he's going to go home. So this is why ops banding can't work. Okay? By the way, shout out Chronox hanging out in our EU audience today. See, this is why we do early. This is why I try to do an early show now and then. Look here, guys. This is as of 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Here you go. Courtesy of Chronox and STFC.pro. I'm going to throw this in the graphics room. This is beautiful. It has not yet eclipsed 2%. We're close. 1.97% of players exist in G7 land. That, by the way, is defined as Ops 71. Okay? Look at this chart. This chart is mind-boggling. G5 and G6, 2 full generations, is still only 34%. 34% of the player base exists in G5 and G6 combined. Now, let's take a look at G2 through G4. And now you guys tell me that this change wasn't made for the lower generations. G2 and G4, 49.75% of the game. Now, Cruzito said, well, you know, G7 is 2%, but gets 80% of the conversation or more, says Shiz. Cruzito said, well, that 2% generates 95% of the money. I think that's probably not that's probably not super accurate. It's definitely high, but I would guess it to be in somewhere in the 80s, Cruzito. Okay. Now, Shiz says, folks still pushing hard, push ops faster, don't worry about all the signs that scream slow down. There aren't any. There are no signs that say slow down. As a matter of fact, this sign right here, this is exactly why Scopely is saying speed up. This right here, G2 through G4, comprising 50% of the game. Okay? That says speed up. And by the way, I'm not necessarily talking about retrieving Orion's, 8472s. What are you talking about? 8472s from Voyager or V'ger? Okay? 2 different ones. All right. Maverick, that's fine. That's high-end content, which, by the way, Cruzito will tell you, we've been asking for a long, 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 long time. Literally for the year prior to G7, every whale in the game was united in saying there is absolutely no new content for me. Cruzito, do you remember saying that? All right. Literally, guys, for a year, they did not get a single target presented to them in the game. None. Zero features from the 2% of players that pay 80% of the revenue. Okay? Cruzito, God, you're so smart. God, I can't believe I just said that out loud, but it was my gut reaction. I'm sorry. I take it back. Cruzito said, see, this is why they're slowing progression at the top to force players into compressed generations. God, he's brilliant. Okay? That's exactly why G7 is slow. That's exactly why G7 is expensive. If you want to pay for it, they're going to let you, right? Take my money, all right? But they are intentionally slowing it down up here to try to get this 50% caught up to G5. Okay? 1,000% Cruzito is right. This 50% needs to be 10%. Okay? And you need to get those people into G5. G5 category needs to be 75% of the game. G5 and G6 needs to be 75%. And by the way, I have no idea what Scopely's targets are, but if it were me, that's what I'm saying. I want G7 to be about 5%. I want G5 and G6 to be about 75%. And I want the other 20% to be done with it so freaking fast they didn't even know what hit them. Maximus says G6 should be separate. It could be. It could be. He sent this over. This was from 2 days ago. He sent this over for something else that he was working on. So I'm sure that there's a chart where G6 is separate. But this chart is perfect for the purposes of this conversation. He's 100% right. Okay? And Cruzito suspects, although I do have my doubts, that if you can compress everybody into G5 and G6, then PvP solves itself. I have my doubts on that, Cruzito, okay, in fairness. But he is historically accurate that PvP was the most balanced when everybody was G3. Right? I mean, that's truth. PvP was perfectly balanced when everybody was G3.
And there were no artifacts, and there were no anything to really differentiate one player or one group of players. Cruzito also brought up the difference between somebody who just went to 70 and some of those players who were at 70 for a year and a half before G7 came out. The differences in potential power and ability between those players is significant.
Sure.
I mean, just on the power numbers, you can go to 70 and be like 2.5 billion, and you can still be in 70 and be at like 6 billion. You know, like there is there's almost a generation of power between going to 70 and leaving 70 because you're done with everything.
Here is another chart. See, I love this. Cruzito or Chronox, thank you so much, dude. Thank you. Dude, STFC.pro. You guys should go check it out. There's a ton of this analytics. He's literally the data king for the entire game. Here you go. You wanted to see G5 and G6 broken out. G6 is 17.1% of the player base. G5 is 16.5% of the player base. Almost perfectly balanced. That's great. That's great. This G4, G3 right here, we got a problem. We got a problem. Now, Pal brings up a really good point. And I think that this is a brilliant point, but it also sets our expectations. He said, you got to give those 50% a real reason to actually ops up, which he believes Scopely has failed on. I'm going to tell you why I disagree, pal. You say mid-ops is 50% better than the garbage that 55 plus deal with. I will agree with that statement. I actually will agree with that statement. Why is it 50 times better? Why is it 50 times better? There's two reasons. One, it's already been built, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're writing new events for it, which I think is great that they're doing. Even when I suggested mid-ops years ago, I just said, hey, rerun the old events. At least they're writing new events for it, a new narrative. That's great, okay? But yeah, they're not writing new tech. They're not writing new mechanics, okay? A, that's A. Why else? Why else would mid-ops be 50 times better? And by the way, that's a subjective opinion-based number. But why is mid-ops arguably, and I agree, better than the G5 Plus experience? I can't believe that nobody in the chat has this yet. It's 50 times better because of what you're getting. It's easy. You fly through it. They're making it more rewarding because their purpose is to change this. Okay? It's 50 times better because it's not as slow as what we are experiencing. What we are experiencing as G5 plus players is a slower progression because it has to be. That's right, Jim Pie. They're speeding it on purpose. Okay? They're speeding it on purpose. It is 50 times better because they want them to move faster than we ever did. They're taking 6 years worth of generational content and they want you to be done with it in 6 months. Does that mathematically equal 50x? I don't know. I just kind of made up a number. All right, maybe not 6 months, maybe a year. But either way, it has to be accelerated. They want 6 years of content. And I promise you, if you ask a Scopely staffer, say, hey, Brand new player starts today. When do you want them to experience new content? When do you want them to be Ops 55? I'd be willing to bet. And I'm just curious. You guys throw up what you think in chat. My answer would be 1 year or less. 1 year or less. What do you guys think? What do you guys think it should take for a brand new player to get to Ops 55? Chef has been talking about this. He says, we're calling it Ops compression. You're brilliant. You're absolutely brilliant. Cruzito says 90 days. No way. That's too fast. All right. I'm going to go with a year or 9 months, maybe 9 to 12 months. Rasker says 6 months. Okay. Popo says Scopely reducing that timer isn't in their favor. Oh, but it is. It is. It is, Popo. It's not even about the money. Actually, it is. It is about the money. But it's not about revenue. This is where people misunderstand the business piece. Okay? Popo, you're exactly right. It's about the money, and it is in their favor. You want to know why? Because they're having to waste time, energy, manpower, engineering, live ops to create an experience that is engaging for this 63% of the player base. Okay? Retrieving says mid-ops is a loss leader. I would have to look up the exact definition of what that is before I agree. But if you're suggesting that they are sacrificing pack revenue to get them into this stage of content, then you would be absolutely right. They're sacrificing pack revenue down here to get you in this zone so that A, whatever packs you buy are new and current, or B, if you don't buy any packs, at least they're not wasting manpower, resources, and entire departments to program and retain these players. All right? That costs money. That costs a lot of money. Oh my God, it costs money. Marketing? Dude, this company probably spends more on marketing than any other category they have, and I'd be willing to bet it's even more than payroll. Okay? The marketing budget for this game, it's still insane. It's still, to this day, it's insane. Go on Facebook, go on YouTube. How many of you guys see Fleet Command ads everywhere you look? All right, look at other content creators. Look at content creators that have nothing to do with Fleet Command. All right, as a matter of fact, I've got, right now, if I load up my stream elements, this is actually funny because I got a Fleet Command campaign. I got a Fleet Command campaign. You know what they're offering? This is insane if I told you what they're offering. I probably shouldn't. The max earnings are $7,000. The max earnings, and that, by the way, is obviously if you get, I think it caps out at like 100 people that get to level 20, right, within a 30-day period. By the way, how freaking easy is that? Get to level 20 within 30 days, right? Get to level 20 within 30 days. Most of us could be level 20 within a week. All right? So if we just at $7,000 that they're willing to spend on 100 players, you tell me about their marketing budget. Okay? It's insane. It's absolutely crazy. All right, Vic says, give me an afternoon. I could do it. Now, Kaviji is why that works. Kaviji says, I found the game through a content creator. They made well over their investment in that guy just off of me. Cha-ching! Hence why content creation have campaigns. That's why Marvel Strike Force paid me the money to share with you guys. How many of you guys still playing Marvel Strike Force? Couple of you? If even 2 or 3 of you are, it was worth it to them. How many of you guys still play Marvel Snap? If even one of you do, then it was worth it to them. How many of you guys might still log into Monopoly Go? If even 1 or 2 of you are, they've made their money back. Okay? Jondrel says, haven't spent a dime. It's not always about the revenue. You count as a statistic as well. You count as engagement. You're a player base. You show up on a spreadsheet. Okay? That's right. Churn. They can't spend if you don't get them in the door. All right. Sugar Red says they're offering $7,000 because the odds of 100 new players hitting level 20 is extremely low. Bafty is going to take this campaign. I'd be willing to bet she hits it. I bet she hits it. Actually, the only reason that she wouldn't hit it is because a lot of her community is already Fleet Command players. You know what I'm saying? The only reason that she would struggle with that is that a lot of her community already plays Fleet Command. All right, but for a new streamer with a totally new audience who has a little bit of an affinity towards sci-fi, dude, Guffa's a perfect example. And by the way, shout out, I love the fact that Guffa's here, okay? I met Guffa because of Bafty. Guffa started playing Fleet Command because Bafty ran the campaign. And now Guffa's a member of our channel and has been playing for what now? 4 years? 5 years? 5 years? You think Scopely doesn't consider the money that they paid to Bafty worth it? Sugar Red says that's just one content creator. The vast majority won't come close. And by the way, you're right, Sugar Red. The vast majority, I'd say 98% are not going to hit the $7,000, but it scales, right? What if they get 20 people in? And that's why I say if one person is still playing Marvel Snap, then that campaign paid off, right? I did Marvel Snap, 4 or 5 years ago? If even one person is still playing, that has more than paid off in engagement, and even more so if you've bought packs. You know? So we're off the rails. Let's come back. This right here is the reason for the PvP, is the PvP cap change. I don't want anybody to get confused. All right? This is a wild out there thought, Tarpy. I'm going to make it. Then we're going to come to Sugar Red on the stage. I don't believe they made the PvP... I'm going to say it, aren't I? I'm going to get in trouble after this. They didn't make the PvP cap change for the benefit of players, guys. They did it for this. They did it for churn. Okay, come on. Is that difficult to fathom? They did it because they want Guffas. They want Kavijis. Okay? They want people to stay in the game. And they don't want that PvP experience to be awful until after they're addicted to the game. Okay? All right? They don't want the PvP experience to be bad until they've got their teeth already sunk in. All right? I mean, come on. That's what it is. Listen, Ops 24, the range is Ops 20 through 32. That's doable. That's survivable. Okay? That's right, Benny Hill. Like a casino, they want you in the door. They've got to keep you in the door. And once you get in the door, they don't want you quitting. They don't want you quitting here in G2. They don't want you quitting in G3. Okay? They want you into G5. So this right here, this is the reason for the PvP cap change, guys. Don't get it twisted. This wasn't to fix PvP. It's not to make the experience better for late ops. All right? Because if that was what we wanted to do, then we would do what we've been talking about for years and set up ship level banding. Okay? Period. That's it. If they wanted to fix PvP in this game, they would invent the tech to do it. They would innovate the tech to make it right. This is a Band-Aid. This is a Band-Aid. And by the way, it's a good Band-Aid. It's a good Band-Aid. Okay? It legitimately solves a lot of problems down here in G3. Truthfully, it does. And those are the players that they don't want to churn out. Those are new players. Those are new downloads. That's new engagement. That reduces churn. And eventually those players are going to push into G5 because of mid-ops, the mid-ops experience, Mako. And if you can accelerate this timeline, then you're spending less time less resources, less manpower, less programming time to program for these experiences down here. That way you can get them all up into here. We've talked before. We've heard Scopely staff acknowledge it on this stage that programming for 5 generations is near impossible. That's why we're doing content for Ops 55 Plus. They are inventing content that is more challenging to the upper band, fresh enough for 55 plus, so that they can design one set of content that has a little bit of staying power. All right, and that's just facts. That's what's happening. That's why there's the late stage content. As a matter of fact, I did this earlier, and I'll come back to Cruzito for his last opinion on this. Then we're going to come to Sugar Red on the Discord stage. Cruzito, would you argue that in the last 6 months, you've had more late stage content? Why do you think that is? Oh, he's coming on the stage. Cruzito, why do you think that there has been more late stage content over the last 6 months than there ever has been before in the game? Why?
Keep me in the game.
Huh?
To keep me in the game.
Well, not only that, but why have they had time to dedicate to you?
Because they have the time, because they're not doing it on the lower peaks, right?
Got it. They're not having to create content that ranges and is compatible with Ops 2 through 72.
Right.
They're building one piece of content now.
Yeah, my only pushback on that, and I understand, right, from a business point, it makes sense to do that. I would like to see, those players that are going get to Ops 55. That's great. Unfortunately, once they get into that more tricky or harder part of the game, they then listen to us late stage players, or even like the G6 players saying, oh, it's so slow, it's so expensive. So then they sit there at that G5. And unless there's a way to entice them to then go up, because we've talked about this, right? Camping. Everybody camps and they camp and they camp. And I bet if you asked anybody that's in that G5, why are you not going into G6? Because I don't want it to be that slow and I don't want it to be that expensive. Same reason why players that are at 70 are not making the jump to 71. And in some cases, that's fair. It does hurt their account to a little bit degree, but they're not wanting to go up and play the slow pace because they just got accelerated all the way through, and that's how they think the game is supposed to be.
Well, and in fairness, it can be for some players, okay? Guffo's a good example. He progresses at his own pace. He's a casual player. That's great. But here's what Scopely is artificially or subtly doing, Cruzito, is by raising the bar on late ops content, they're also creating a little bit of that feeling like I want to play in it. I want the Reliant. I want Con, right? And those players are going to start to push to 51, 52, 53. I think that solves itself with the content. Now, as far as G5 goes, because by the way, G5 is still pretty fast. I wouldn't expect it to get much faster. It's pretty much right, okay? It's pretty much right. G6, I think, is probably mostly about done. Probably not quite. I'd say we probably got, what do you think, Cruzito? We're in September, or we're in March. I would say by September, we're going to be done with expansion on G6 content. When I don't mean introduction, I mean expansion as in acceleration. I think by September, we're done accelerating G6 economy. I think
that is probably true up until 66, right? 66 is okay. I think the 66 to 70, and as we talked about, and the only reason I bring that up, there's a lot of players I've been talking to that are in their 70s, is the parts and the mats. Mm-hmm. And it's because you need those epics, and those epics are now stealing resources from your research, which you actually are going to need in G7, right? So that's kind of that's the part there.
Well, that's why I say we're not done. We're not done with G6 yet. G6 still has some time left, okay? There's still going to be more acceleration. There's still going to be more efficiency. That is still going to happen, okay? I don't think we're done with that yet. G5, yeah, we're pretty done, okay? But G6, I do think we still have another 6 to 9 months of economy. I saw Shiz say a minute ago, we're not done with G6. I agree with you. I think G6 is not done yet. as far as its economy acceleration. However, to counter the point that there's still camping, I still struggle with that mindset. And you know why? It's because I did it. It's because I did it, and I see what I cost myself. That's why I'm so against it. You know what I'm saying? I see what it cost me. It cost me months of progress, and that's why I'm such an advocate. It's like we do every day on our show, Cruzito. Do as I say, not as I do, because I'm doing the wrong things. In some cases on purpose, other times not really, right? Other times we're just making a choice, and then we realize, well, this is what we could have done better. You know?
Well, and I think some of that, right? Again, it's how active you're going to be in the game as to whether it's going to hurt your account. I also think there's something to the point where the price looks like it's a lot higher, but again, and I'm sure I'm going to get lambasted here, but the min-max piece of it, right? I want to get the minimum effort and the maximum reward out of it. And so in some cases, players are going to sit down low, leaderboards and all that kind of stuff, instead of progressing their account. And I don't know if there's a way around that, right? I think that's the one thing. Now, this community it has a lot of that. I also don't think that's the broader.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, no, you're totally right. I, as a matter of fact, I think that a lot of people outside of our community are bigger fans of camping. And by the way, there's a difference in camping versus playing your ops. Shiz is playing the exact same game that Guffa is, right? I'm not camping, but I'm not rushing, right? I'm playing my content. I'm progressing at my pace. I'm moving along when I feel that I have made enough progression to go to the next level. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That's not camping to me. Look, you guys teased me about 71. I wasn't camping at 71. It just took me that long. Right? I wasn't camping. I was working on progression. It just took me that long.
So that's the question, right? Like in the G6 land, right? Specifically, let's use them, where, you see these new content that comes out that's a struggle, right? And I think to some extent, players really haven't had the challenge. So when they do have something, and I was chatting back and forth with Shiz about this, right? Where a lot of players are like, oh, the content is too hard. Well, if for your ops level, if you're at where you should be, it's really not as hard. It's challenging, but it ain't impossible. And I think that's the other piece of it. They introduce something that players haven't had to do for a while that has been challenging because they're able to breeze through things. And then they hit that wall and they're like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I think, unfortunately, we've got a very binary community in the sense that if I can't do it easily, I'm just not going to do it at all. Right. Like that's unfortunately the mindset.
Well, I agree, and I don't want people to lose sight of that. The idea here, and I'll wrap up with this. Sugar Red, I'm going to bring you up. Tarpy's moving me along. Thank you, Cruzito.
Thank you.
When people hit that wall at 51, to Pal's point that he said, I believe, and I truly do believe, okay, based on the conversations that I've had, because obviously I haven't played it, but getting to 51, it does start to slow down, as Cruzito pointed out. It does start to slow down. It does start to bring you into the newer generation of content. But that wall that's hitting us in the face, that is part of the cycle that they're trying to break. It is a cycle, right? It is an expectation. And even what they're doing now with Mako, if I can get to Ops 49 in 6 months, well, Ops 50 through 100 isn't going to be another 6 months. You know what I'm saying? They are going to start slowing down. That's a cycle of expectation that I think mid-ops and this G5 now plus experience, off 55 plus experience, is starting to try to reshape those expectations. I don't think that getting to 51 is a bad thing. Is it slower? Yeah, sure it is. But it brings you into new current content that will start to matter and start to impact your account more. But again, all this is business because on the back end, they're not having to program down here. Sugar Red, you've been waiting so patiently. You've literally been on hold for like almost 45 minutes. I'm so sorry. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on PvP, the PvP banding changes, incursions, whatever it is, and then we'll move on.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for picking up. Uh, so as far as the PvP goes, I've probably an unpopular take on the whole thing, and it's that PvP in this game is not balanced.
That's not unpopular. It's factual. I agree.
Going in the background, and it's not. This isn't Call of Duty. It's not a Twitch based skill based gameplay. This is investment. It's time that you're putting into it, and you're not just able to learn how to do something today and be great at it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, your account has to grow into that, and that takes a certain amount of management, I'll call it. That what I'd like to get to is that this game, it weeds out certain types of players into into these different brackets. You know, we call them casual or a min-maxer, or you measure their engagement in different ways, but past a certain line, and that line doesn't exist in a particular ops or generation. It's a level of engagement. And if you're not willing to engage with this game where it wants you to be, whether that's financially or whether it's, with your time and energy reading spreadsheets and learning mechanics, you're not going to want to progress any further than where you're at or any faster than you're going, because you're just going to run into a brick wall of, what do I do here? What do I do here? We've got a pretty diverse alliance that I run with, Sugar. And, a year and a half ago, I was ops 35. I'm 71 now.
Woo!
I looked at trying to push my account and push myself harder, because that's my response to the stressors of having somebody in their 50s show up in a Vidar and wipe out my team. Well, a year and a half later, I can kill that guy, no problem. I'm flying around. We're in the same spaces doing the same things, but that flipped a switch for me and turned up my engagement. It made me look for content creators and start reading spreadsheets and digging through the game, trying to learn the mechanics and understand the intricacies of, I need to have this and this and this and that fleet commander turned on and this artifact max. I wanted to know that so I could compete. Where we have people in my alliance that see me doing that, see players like me, our leadership doing that, and they just see it being easy. So they're chasing us and ops, and we've got a guy that just moved up to 61, and every day he's asking, what crew do I use for this? What crew do I use for that? And it's like, dude, you've got to, here's the spreadsheet, here's the chart, here's the info. Like, you need to know this information, because I can't co-pilot your account. I need you to do this on your own and know how to figure it out on your own, because it's not actually my job to do it for you.
Yeah, stop calling.
And that player, it's not just him, it's the larger community of everybody has somebody in their alliance that they're trying to help, that they're constantly having to give information to. And it's part of the job, being part of this greater community, taking this information that, CCs, distill out of the game and give to us. We're trying to filter it back out to everyone else. But meanwhile, that's another level of engagement that I'm having to engage in. Whereas the guy that isn't engaged at all, that isn't looking at Jules's spreadsheets and doesn't chat with Quasel in Discords and call into DJs, that guy's just asking me.
Yeah. Well, and a lot
of people, if I don't tell him, he doesn't know. He has no idea what to do.
Yeah, Vic says, sounds like my job. Doss says, this guy's describing my life. Yeah, and that's where this game turns into the next level, right? Is whether you're being educated or need the education versus, diving in deeper, the level of engagement. And I think that 51 wall there that we're talking about is going to continue to float, right? And honestly, to be perfectly blunt with you, as content creators, we really got to do a little bit better. I mean, we're all advanced ops. We're all of us. We've really. I know that Ultra's created a new account. I think Tibbs has got a new account. I know Rev does that a lot. We've got to do. We need more. at that mid ops and new player experience. Really, truthfully, I wish I had time to do it, but we do need more there, which would ease that transition from G3 and G4 to beyond 51. Sugar Red, thank you so much for your comments. Appreciate that. Tarpy is absolutely blowing me up right now. So let's move on. We've actually, you know what? Here, let's do this. We got to take a break. I got to take a break, a pause for the cause over on the podcast. So we'll do that very quickly. And when we come back, we're going to get into Echoes of V'ger and the event schedule for Interim. And our next 9 months worth of ARC launch dates have been decided. We're going to talk about those and what that means for your content and why that change was made coming up on the other side of this break. My name is UltimatDJz. This is Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. We'll be back right after these words. Stand by. Good afternoon. Welcome into the show. Appreciate you. Thank you so very much for being here. My name is UltimatDJz. This is Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. A great spirited debate on PvP, incursions, and so forth there in the first half of the show. But as we pointed out, we've got a lot more to do, a lot more to talk about. And I'd like to get straight into that. Thank you again, executive producer Tarpy, keeping me on the clock. Tarpy, I was just seeing you kind of chit-chat in the chat during the commercial break. Are you going to try to do something on Wednesday? And does it count as a lost show? Is kind of the big questions that I've got.
If you're not there, no, it doesn't count.
What if I'm there?
But
what if I'm there in chat? What if I show up for moral support?
No.
Okay.
No. I will see. I'm still kind of on the road to recovery, so my week at work is a little bit extra crazy this week, so we'll see how I'm feeling. But if people do want to talk about the PvP stuff or how Echoes of V'ger are going, if we don't get to that on Tuesday, I can try to do something like that on Wednesday.
Well, stay tuned to the Talking Trek announcements room there. We may end up having an impromptu cast takeover. For those of you who don't know what that is usually that's the after show that the host doesn't get to be a part of, right? When you listen to like sports broadcasts and things like that, they always have like the point after, or some shows that I like to listen to called the fifth quarter, some football shows, or whatever. It's the show after the show, right? So sometimes Putz, Tarpy, Jules, Shiz, Lost In, a couple of these guys will get together and do some extra just conversational discussion stuff. It doesn't usually get recorded. It doesn't usually go out on a stream. It's just usually like a Discord hangout where they kind of do just an after hours discussion and talk, and it's kind of fun to hang out. So keep an eye on the Talking Trek announcements channel if that is something. Yeah, Talking More Trek. Yeah, there you go. Talking More Trek. No, yeah, I'm not here, so I don't usually like we don't broadcast them. They usually are just there. Now, actually, Tarpy, there was you guys were wanting to try to start doing that so we could turn it into another form of podcast, right? I think you guys were tinkering with the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it was between Jules and I figuring out how to record the audio because we don't Twitch stream. And obviously we couldn't Twitch stream under your name, but like we can figure out how to record it if people want that. So if you want that as part of a podcast, we can do that, kind of like a part two.
Yeah, I think I would love that.
The conversation today.
That would be great. And people who do particularly love the podcast content, like in their cars and working out, that would I'm sure they would love something like that. That would bring back more of a little bit more content to the podcast channel where people enjoy that kind of long form radio. Yeah, we could call it Talking Trek Part 2, Talk Harder. I like that one.
How about Talk Smarter?
Talk smarter.
Tarping Trek. Thank you. Tarping Trek.
Tarping Trek. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, that would be good. So yeah, there are sometimes we do those pop-ups. Really, truthfully, those have they do those somewhat regularly. Probably, I'd say we average probably one a month, right?
It's hard when you stream every day because of Lost In.
Hey, I'm keeping Wednesdays.
Because then it's like
Wednesday's my day. As a matter of fact, I will tell you tomorrow night, just giving you a little bit of an insight into the schedule. Today's Sunday. Again, my plan is to do a Studio B tonight. I saw somebody ask earlier, you missed the beginning part of the show. Noah and Kaylee showed up to surprise me just for a quick visit this weekend. So I spent yesterday with them. But we are going to do Studio B tonight, which is why I was doing the show earlier to help our EU audience and get done a little bit quicker. And then my plan is to actually do a somewhat abbreviated Studio B tonight, starting somewhere between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. We'll do some Studio B for you guys to grind out the remainder of your Maverick tasks too, as we get ready to count that down and spend all of your Alliance tournament loot and whatever grinding tasks you've got for tournaments. So we'll be providing you a soundtrack tonight, starting somewhere between 8 and 9. I'm going to try to start closer to 8, but it looks like we're already going to be running a little bit over here tonight, so it could be closer to 9, but I'm definitely going to start by in that window. And we've got 2 free hours for you, 2 sponsored hours available, and some craziness available on this show. If you guys contribute over on the other channel, then we could have some bonuses that happen here. So that is something that we'll be doing tomorrow night. Oliver wants to stream Legos. So we have not yet earned our next Enterprise D Lego stream, but we did finish our shuttle Discovery, and you guys can see it in the background here if you look close. We did finish our shuttle Discovery, and we have the Hubble telescope that we can build. So Oliver wants to come out and build the Hubble telescope with you guys tomorrow, so that'll be a bonus Lost stream tomorrow evening. Probably very quick, an hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll build some Legos tomorrow. We're going to start on our Hubble telescope that goes with the shuttle Discovery, and then hopefully by then we will have we'll have another date for our Lego Enterprise stream for our next couple of bags on that. So then Tuesday, back into the lab with Talking Trek. Artemis says no Twitch. Wait, what? No, what? Yeah, nope. We got Twitch. We got Twitch. All the Twitches. We're twitching hard. And we're YouTubing hard. We're doing all the things, Artemis. Tuesday, we'll be back into the Talking Trek lab just to kind of take a look at what is launching with Echoes of V'ger, which will launch on Tuesday. No, Chronicles of the Ascendant launches Tuesday. We'll check at the schedule here in just a second because that's the next thing we're going to do. So whatever is launching on Tuesday, we'll get into that. Wednesday, I will be off, and the cast may take over. Thursday, we'll be back with our ARC rating podcast, and then I don't know what will happen after that. I may try to go out of town this weekend. I haven't decided yet, or I may be stuck at home. For those of you, well, never mind. I might be home. Might go out of town. I might be home. I don't know yet. So we'll let you know a little bit later in the week what we're doing Friday and Saturday. So that's the schedule for this week. Mosher says I may be comatose most of the week because I turned 50 in 3 days. Well, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday.
Your liver regenerates really fast. So if that's your preferred method of partying, just remember that your liver does regenerate up until a certain point.
Yeah, there you go. It's like it's like Deadpool. All right, you mess it up and then it just suddenly grows back. It's fine. All right.
Also, I'm not that kind of doctor, so don't quote me.
Polar Bear says, "Ooh, I also turned 50 on Wednesday. Well, happy birthday to you! Yo! Happy birthdays all the way around." Almost G5, capping out your leaderboard there. time to ascend to 51. All right, guys. Listen, we've got another blog post to get into, and this is where we're going to kind of come back and take a little bit closer look at my show notes here. Let's go through the blog post first. Following player feedback, we made several updates to the Echoes of V'ger event series. On Tuesday, March 24th, Chronicles of the Ascendant are going to launch. And that is featuring Zephram Cochrane this month, which Putz, you were wrong. Doesn't happen very often, but Putz got this one wrong. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm extremely glad for that. Zephram Cochrane, I think, is a great officer for this CoTA. So I'm excited about that.
I'm absolutely ecstatic to be wrong. I'm already sitting down. I'm so wrong. I'm laying down in the prone position.
Fantastic. Well, this is a big development. Epic Zephram Cochrane is going to be here, and then you've got the Flash Pass for Ops 20 up through 50, which will feature Black Ops Mbenga and villains Winadami and Esri Dax. So that is what's going to be happening there. The interim schedule that we've got here, we're going to go through this real quick. Quark is coming back to do some of his shenanigans in the interim schedule. We're going to be going back and rehashing some of Quark's challenge events. We are looking at easier completion. There's going to be an overhaul on the meta. However, do keep in mind that meta is still going to have a very heavy engagement top end, completing 15 out of 16 for completion of the meta. Now, here's the deal. I like these kinds of things. I'm never super fussy about that. As long as there are rewards along the way. I hope that there are some meaningful rewards during that event. So if somebody misses more than one, they're still getting paid for it. And I expect that that's what we're going to see. But to completely max out the event, 15 out of 16. I'm also going to take a quick sidebar here, Tarpy, to point out the fact that this kind of communication is superb. Yep. A lot of times
Absolutely.
we have to come out, we do our own math. A lot of times we have to come out and look at the schedule and figure out what our own grace period is. A lot of times we got to figure out how many events they're going to be and what our buffer is and all this stuff. This is absolutely bloody awesome. All right. And this particular form of communication is superb. I love this. To help players track their progress, all scoring events are now going to be grouped together in the in-game news. Also very, very nice. And each relevant event will now explicitly state in its description that it scores into the Grand Challenge, which will be the name of the meta event. Some of the special supplies in the Quark event store are going to stay the same, but it says that they have updated a few offerings, so we're going to see what those exist or what consist of those. But this is your schedule. I mean, right here, plain as day. Monday, this is tomorrow. If you're in the live audience, if you're listening in podcasts, this would be Monday, March 23rd, Ops 20 through 50. You've got every single event broken down here. You've got the Grand Challenge SMS, which is completing Quark's hostile challenges. We've got a battleship run, defeating hostiles with a battleship. We've got some swarm in here. We got a leaderboard for critical damage. Okay, this is a big one. All right, this is a big one. Critical damage has changed a lot over the years. You'll note that Texas-class hostiles are still in here. Freebooters, Ex-Borg, Lost, Herogen, Swarm, FKR, Borg, Eclipse, and Axion. Matters, since we got you on the stage, right here, taking a quick peek at this list. And I'm sure Cruzito, Riskbreaker for our Ops 50 and down audience can give you a little bit of insight. If we are talking about dealing critical damage, yeah, you could call it like a new heavy hitter kind of thing. If we're talking about critical damage out of this list, what are, for our listening audience, what are the hostiles that we should be focused on matters? We've got FKR, Swarm, Borg, Eclipse, Axion, Lost, Herogen, Freebooters, Ex-Borg, and Texas class. Note that you do not see Revenant here. No Continuum hostiles, no Xindi hostiles. It's almost as though, Retrieving, you've put a little bit of thought into balancing this event where there's not maybe necessarily a clear hands-down winner. Like before, you just went and did Continuum hostiles and you mopped the floor with anybody who didn't, if you had the directives, you went in there and did the Borg solo type 3s or the Borg polygons and you immediately won. I mean, that was just it. But they have actually, it seems, have put a little bit of thought into trying to balance the damage that these hostiles can take. This is a relatively close list. I got to be honest with you. For me, just off the top of my head, I'd say it's probably going to come down to either Texas class or even high-level swarm. This is for Ops 50 and down, Matters. Where you at?
I mean, if Herogen is including the 8472s, there's your winner.
Well, no. Herogen and 8472 are coded differently. I'm going to imagine that 8472 are not going to be included, at least not with Herogen.
Then I think, if I remember correctly, probably your best bet is the Actian, the Mantis hostiles.
Mantis hostiles, Axion hostiles, potentially.
They got swarm speed.
Yep. And what you're going to be looking at here, guys, is you're looking for extremely high hull. Okay. That's what you're looking for. Big shield, big hull, probably going to be done with a specialty ship. Okay. A specialty ship that deals extra damage. All right. Those are your general things that you're going to be looking for. Ops 20 through 50. You're going to be looking for a hostile that uses a specialty ship that has big hull, big shield, and has a damage boost in a specialty hostile. Shiz says, would that include, is that including the shipyard armadas or not? Is it just Texas class or Texas tagged? Same about Herogen or DQ tag, the Delta Quadrant tags. Don't know. I actually don't know. We'll have to see and maybe even test a little bit when this event first drops, because this is a first run of this particular style of event. But I think it's very, very good that we have seen this, because there's always been, as you say, Matters, kind of a clear winner where if you just didn't, you know, when Revenant was out, if you had polygon directives, then you won. And if you had the prime, then you extra won. You know what I'm saying? And that looks like it may not be the case right here. So Riskbreaker says, when I hear X-Borg, what are we talking? That would be the freebooters. The X-Borg are freebooters. All right. So you got a solo leaderboard for that. Then you're going to have a solo leaderboard for upgrading your Discovery, Serene Squall, Cerritos, and your Titan A. That is going to happen on the 23rd and 24th. It's a 48-hour solo leaderboard. Starting on Tuesday, we kick off the Flash Pass. We've got an Explorer run now for Quark's meta and a probe hunt for Quark's meta for killing Borg probes. Again, Ops 20 through 50. Wednesday the 25th, your Interceptor specialty run and a Voyager event for destroying Lost Hostiles. Now, I say Voyager. No, this is Lost Hostiles. These are Delta Quadrant hostiles. Voyager may not actually be the better way to go. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to say wrong to the Ops 20 through 50. Lost Hostiles, we still have to do with our faction ships, right? Because Voyager only works against DQ tags. Voyager only works against the specific Voyager hostile. Does Voyager work against Lost? I'm thinking it does not, but I could be wrong. I think Lost don't have the DQ tag. Is that right? Lost Herogen do not have the DQ tag. I'm pretty sure. Please, somebody correct me in chat. Thank you, Shiz. Lostals are non-DQ tagged, but they are in Voyager space. So that is not a Voyager event. Lost Hostiles are going to use your normal ship. Okay. And then you're going to have Quark's Command solo leaderboard for Fleet Commander XP, Fleet Commander credits, and skill points. On Thursday, we've got Cardassian Armadas. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. That's rough. Where's my boo button? Where is it? Yeah. All right, listen. It may be that Ops 20 through 50 could still have a need for killing Cardassian hostiles, but that's only if you're working on your starbase, right? and do you really need to work on your starbase? Really? I mean, anyway, you are going to be made to do it. That could be the 1 out of 16 that you quit. Right? That could be the 1 out of 16 that you don't do, but we are going to have Cardassian Armadas. You'll also have a freebooter hunt that day and a solo milestone for dealing damage to faction group armadas. No solos. Okay, but just groups. That would be the ones that are in G5 space and down, just good old-fashioned group armadas. And then you've got an Armada Hunter solo leaderboard for spending directives. On Friday, you've got an Augment Hunt. This is Ops 20 through 50 again. Augment with the Reliant. Gem Hadar, those are Dominion hostiles. That one is over in purple space, okay? You'll be using regular ships for those also. Hostile Takeover is a regional leaderboard for destroying hostiles. And then Quark's Power Partner solo leaderboard, basically power gained. Okay, that's upgrading via buildings, dry docks, defense platforms. They didn't put research in here, but that event usually does include research. But it's not listed, so it may not be. But usually those power gained events do also include research, so keep that in mind. Saturday the 28th, Ops 20 through 26, General Hostile Hunt. 27 through 29, Mudmadas. Mudmadas. Actually, if you're Ops 27 through 39, you still need to do the Mudmadas. So, yeah, you've got Exchange Hostiles and Exchange Armadas, 27 through 39. Ops 40 through 50, Silent Enemies. That'll be tricky for you G4 players. Silencer, they're tough. Good news is that it's only an SMS. And then Ops 20 through 50 are all going to share in a Texas class hostile event with your Mona Veen. All right, that's on Saturday. That's Saturday, Cruzito. Sunday.
Wait, so
yes.
did they just do 2 days in a row of armadas for those players in the same area? So they're doing that whole thing on Thursday, and then they're doing it again on Friday?
You've got a leaderboard and SMS for group
Because
armadas.
Apex Thursday is a thing. And so they're doing Apex Friday as part of Quark's event?
No. So you missed the beginning where they moved. What are you talking about? Incursions? They moved.
No, Apex Thursday is the normal event on Thursdays for those Stella Armadas. So they're now giving them to them 2 days in a row.
No. Not 2 days in a row. It'll be on Saturday. So you'll have that on Thursday.
So there's a space. Even better.
Well, nobody likes doing the Exchange Armadas unless you have to do them. But again, for those ops levels, I mean,
That's my point.
that's fine. You've got that.
It would be nice.
Then 20
if it
through
was
50 have Texas class. That's on Saturday. Sunday, you're coming in to Mirror Universe, which is nice. Mirror Universe is going to give you synergy with your ahead of the curve Sunday event, so do be aware of that. And you'll also have a solo milestone for destroying Herogen. That is on Sunday the 29th. Monday the 30th, Gorn, Zindi. There will be a solo leaderboard for isolytic damage, and then a solo leaderboard for Forbidden Tech, prototype Forbidden Tech, or Forbidden whatever those things are, and Chaos Tech. Okay, and that is the interim schedule. That's it for Ops 20 through 50, okay? 1 week. Now, Echoes of V'ger coming back for Ops 51 plus. Okay, here are some of the changes that have been made, Tarpy, and you and Matters, tell me whether these work for you, make sense to you, Putz, you as well. The pull cost for V'ger's Cordiality Exchange chests have been lowered. Well, anything that you lower is great. They were pretty high. So how much? We're going to see. That's good. Updated Syndicate and Directive chest for Ops 71 plus. They removed directives that we don't need. And the drop rates for Outpost and Open Armada directives have been increased, which, great. I'm just going to say great. That's fine. I don't know how much, but more Outpost directives are a good thing, right? Hopefully the drop rates have been increased substantially. And old directives have been removed. The Amity Exchange will now, this is a big one, Tarpy, I know you complained about this, will now guarantee Ilea's sensor artifact shards. Before it was a chance, this is now a guarantee. Tarpy, that's got to be a big win for you, right?
I mean, Yes, that's actually not the thing I think I was maddest about last time, but I will absolutely take it. Because people's feedback was kind of mixed. It's helpful-ish as an artifact, but what they read on the patch notes for it versus what I think Scopely intended were two different things. So I'm glad it's there.
You're
And
regarding
guaranteed.
the chance. Yeah, because last time people thought, well, if I complete the event, I'm going to earn the artifact. And it didn't end up being that. So
Yeah.
this time you'll have a chance at shards, but it is a guaranteed chance. So every time you pull that, you'll be doing that. And then V'ger hostile balancing has been adjusted. Now, this one worries me. because
Which way did they go?
well, here's the thing. To me, this sounds like they're going to adjust the hostiles, which I don't like. Let me just be
go
straight
either
up.
way.
Let me be straight up with you. I don't like that. However,
their track record on adjusting hostile strength and whatnot after the fact is not very good. This scares me.
I'm not going to necessarily agree with that. I think what they did, for example, with the Borg Conqueror Solar Armadas, like at 55, was not super great. But then they changed them a little bit higher. That they could get this right. The thing for me with the V'ger hostiles is I like the challenge of those V'ger hostiles, right? But that's just me. I know a lot of people have expressed frustration with it, so we shall see what actually happens with that. And it could, as Cruzito points out, could go both ways. Some could be better, some could be worse. Maybe they've filled the gaps in and made it a little bit more linear. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see what that even means. I was thinking this was an event update. Okay. So what I am thinking is also a possibility is that the hostile point scoring in the event may be updated. It's obviously something that we need a point of clarity on. This is Echoes of V'ger update. It's an event series. I wouldn't necessarily expect that the hostiles themselves are going to get a change, which is why this wording worries me just a little bit. But what I am honestly expecting is scoring adjustments. Okay? That's what I'm expecting. And the scoring absolutely could have used some work. Last time, I remember there were lots of situations where people had to kill hundreds. Some people could kill 40 or 50, but some people had to kill hundreds. And I believe that is what we are going to expect to see. Again, I can't say based on what this says because the verbiage is a little odd. But what I believe that is going to be is scoring adjustments. Okay. And here is your Echoes of V'ger event schedule, again, launching Tuesday. We're going to see the Echoes of V'ger meta, which is going to require completion. Notice that they do not put your buffer in this one, so I'm going to assume that there is not a buffer. But we do have an SMS in completing the Daler V'ger species emergence events. And then there's going to be an Alliance milestone meta as well. In the first day, you're going to have a solo leaderboard for defeating V'ger 8472 bioships. That solo leaderboard is running all week. That is a long leaderboard for V'ger 8472. To be clear, that V'ger 8472 are the summoned ones, right? Just to make sure those are V'ger fighters, right? Those are the summoned ones.
No, hold on.
Okay.
No, different.
Which one?
So this is the Theris invasion rework. So these are the hostiles that show up in various systems. And you go hit the one close to your level. And so people were having a relatively hard time hitting at their level in certain ops bands. And so they'd have to hit 80 to 100 to do their daily grind for that. So they may adjust this slightly.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm expecting with this V'ger hostile balancing scoring adjustment. That's what I'm expecting here. So 8472 are special ones that spawn in the margins and aggregation space. Thank you for reminding me. I don't think I did this event last time because of
we were on the cruise.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely didn't then. So yeah, species 8472 are essentially, I know it's a buzzword, but they're essentially like Ceres Invasion or Flashpoint hostiles that only show up during an event, and those are going to show up, and that's a week-long event. You've also got an Alliance leaderboard for that as well. Yes.
As Shiz is shrieking about in the chat, you should, if you are upper G6, you should think about getting your aggregation polls for the week done before this event launches. And because several of the upper level G6 aggregation systems are going to be just these V'ger hostiles.
Yeah, they'll be converted.
And also, so also, unless they've changed some systems, just a reminder to low G6, maybe upper G5, to use that stasis globe. I think it's Chaos Tech, to help you with your hazard resistance, because a lot of the lower G6 hostiles for this were put in systems with hazards last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of the 61, 62, and 63 systems were in systems that had hazards. And then starting at 64, they were in systems that didn't have hazards.
So, yeah, unless that's been changed, which I don't know that it has been, but unless that's been changed, then be aware of the hazard resistance stuff that you're going to need there. Moving forward, you've also got a solo milestone for the V'ger species 8472 that's going to occur on a daily reset. All right, so we're going to have 6 of those individual solo milestones. And then you've got a threat protocol heroic, a heroic solo milestone for defeating those 8472 bioships as well, which is going to be a 72-hour milestone starting on Wednesday. This one is not necessarily heroic in that it's cost money. It's going to be heroic in the size of the milestone. Okay, so that's going to be a pretty large, significant milestone, and hopefully I can expect some decent rewards out of there. That is on Tuesday. They left Wednesday out of here, so don't know why. Thursday, we're going to have more heroic milestone for species 8472. They left Friday out because that's Incursions Day. And then Saturday, more V'ger 8472 bioships. All events, Ops 51 Plus, Crucible of War is going to be starting. On a Philion upgrade event for Ops 71 Plus. You'll score in this event by spending uncommon and rare survey parts and G7 uncommon and rare materials. That is happening on the 23rd and 24th. This is a choice moment. This is a choice moment. Okay? Because you can spend on the Aphelion or you can save for CoTA. All right? These are not going to overlap. So, the Aphelion event is most likely going to be awarding those Aphelion blueprints. So if you've got one or, not worried about it, then skip and save for CoTA. And I'm honestly, if you're looking for, Vic, great choice, to be honest with you. Aphelion or Zephram Cochrane. I think this is, I think it's a great choice, to be honest with you. This is fantastic. Oh, incursions are Saturday. Wait, are they Saturday? I thought they were Friday. And we'll come back to it. But
Saturday.
They are Saturday. Okay, my fault. The incursions are coming Saturday. So you've got 2 different material spend events that are coming this week. Okay, you've got an Aphelion event, and you've got CoTA. All right. Cruzita says, just do them all. What's the problem? Yeah, I know. CoTA starts on Tuesday featuring Zephram Cochrane. We're going to see Maverick events here. A War Room event also picking up on Tuesday, which is usually a gimme. So, Vengeance event is also going to run, Zach, but I don't remember exactly what days those pop on. So you could find some synergy with the Aphelion event and the Vengeance event, or the Aphelion event, or the Vengeance event and the CoTA event. All right, so you could have some synergy there if you time it with your Vengeance event. Coming on Tuesday, also a War Room event. So just make sure that there's no pips. It doesn't show up anywhere. Just make sure you remember to pop in. We'll try to remind you Tuesday night to pop in and claim that. Transigen events on Wednesday. Thursday, Conqueror's Dive Heroic Solo Milestone for your dive bar building, and Conqueror Borg Blitz for Ops 55+. That'll be a solo leaderboard. So if perhaps you're wanting to maybe compete for that, then save your directives from the Maverick track until Thursday. Friday, we've got arena events. Saturday, incursions. Saturday, incursions. And we'll start a faction hunt on Saturday as well. Now, that's your schedule, which, by the way, super duper love. The highest of kudos, super great, fantastic, amazing things. It's fantastic that they put that calendar out there. Okay? So I'm very, very happy about that. The next piece of this, and I'm trying to find where they talked about it. Was it in a different announcement where they talked about the cadence on ARC launches? Because I don't see it in this article.
No, very top of the interim events.
Thank
it's
you.
The very first paragraph.
Yeah, I was just scrolling down too far. This is something that's very interesting. I don't know if there's any reason for anybody to be upset about this. If anything, it gives us long-term planning. I think this is pretty good. The interim period between arcs has varied between 1 and 2 weeks, depending on the monthly calendar. In 2026, we're moving to a 1-week interim break period to create a more predictable schedule and help you better plan for what's ahead, which I like. Following player feedback. Oh, blah. Okay. So anyway, we got into the rest of it. So let's take a look, guys. I am now going to do exactly what Scopely told me not to do and give you your next 9 ARC launch dates.
Because of course you are.
Now, here's the thing. The reason that I'm going to do that, all right, is because there are a couple of scenarios where it's weird, okay? And I have a theory as to why it's happening. I personally don't care. I think it's a good business move, okay? I think it's a good business move. And I think it's a good player-facing move. I think this is one of those pluses, one of those win-win scenarios that are going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? That's right, Vic. The ARC plus the interim will always be 28 days, no matter what. Retrieving says it makes 0 sense. It makes a lot of sense to me, to be honest with you. It makes a lot of sense to me. And I think there's a business reason for it as well. So, and I'll explain that here in just a second. So for April, here you go. April ARC is going to be starting on March 31st. The April ARC is starting March 31st. Okay, there's one. Then we go 4 weeks from there. So there's the start of week 2, 3. Interim week will start on April 21st. The May ARC will start on April 28th. Okay. Riskbreaker says, so that second
We're just going to
week,
have to do numbers.
Yeah. Riskbreaker
numbers.
says, will the second week go into the void? No. No, it won't. This is why it makes business sense to me. Okay. There's 52 weeks in a year. But if you ran it 4 weeks at a time, that goes to, it basically makes it 13 cycles. 13 cycles. Okay. You got 52 weeks in a year, 48 cycles or 12 months times 4. That gives them 4 weeks. They can run a 13th month. Okay. They can run a 13th month. And that's why I say business-wise makes total sense. They're going to sell an extra battle pass as a result of this. And no Riskbreaker. You're getting 3 weeks arcs, 3-week arcs, 20-day arcs with an 8-day interim, period. Okay? 3-week, 20-day arc, 8-day interim for a total of 28 days in a cycle. Okay? So Vic's doing the math on it. 13 divided by 12. Basically, they're going for an 8% lift on battle passes sold. Yeah. And wouldn't anybody be pretty thrilled with an 8% revenue lift? It's actually brilliant. Okay, I mean, it's actually
So
brilliant.
this is the same reason you pay your mortgage every 2 weeks instead of every 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Or half your mortgage every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You get an extra whole thing per year.
Now, Mimi, this is the thing. He said, isn't it nice that they decided to slow things down by releasing an extra arc feature per arc? This was a small warning that I issued when they told me about this, which is, hey, it's okay. Like, we still are okay with you being a little bit slower, and I think that that's top of mind. But the biggest reason, and we all know what the biggest reason that they continue to jam out new content is revenue targets, right? If you have 13 arcs, then it does let you spread it out just a little bit more. It's still the same amount of time, right? And they're going to sell more packs as a result. But it would potentially, Mimi, actually allow them to launch just a fraction less every single 28-day cycle. So I don't think it's going to be a lot slower, okay? But I do think that, I mean, their roadmap for the next 12 months is already done, right? It's done. So by them doing it this way, they're literally kind of relying on things like battle passes, Ferengi passes, outpost passes, or whatever new passes that they're going to launch. And here's why this is good for us. All right. It's an extra free track of everything that would run in a current month. All right. So, yeah, more releases doesn't necessarily mean a new feature every time. And I agree, Cruzito. I actually think that's not their intention. But there's a lot of reasons that this is good. All right. There's a lot of reasons why this is good. And it's good for the players, and it's good for Scopely. So I'm totally in favor of this change. There's not really a downside to it, other than we will, if you're a spender who buys battle passes, then you're going to spend a few more dollars this year. Which, by the way, that's their goal, right? that's their goal. So, you know, and it could be the sale of the ship, the building, whatever it is that they launch, the chaos tech, whatever it is that they're featuring there. It just gives them one extra potential release there. Okay.
So can I tie this in with ARC stuff too? Actually, after you do your SKZ comment.
What? Can you what?
Can I tie this into a different part of the conversation, or do you?
Yeah, here in a minute.
I'm just asking.
I want to give more dates.
Yeah.
Zed said, what did I miss? Arc details would be better. Dates don't make any difference. Actually, that's not necessarily true. A lot of players try to plan around time. I mean, obviously, arc details would be better, but they do okay with previews and things like that. That's gotten a lot better than it used to be. I'm not going to be super fussy about that. The previews and stuff that we get, the information that content creators are able to release, that's a lot more than it used to be. So yeah, that's not necessarily what I'm worried about. What I see here is more battle passes, more free tracks. As Retrieving points out, that's more desealing rod fragments. Okay. So, I mean,
actually, Retrieving is wrong on this. It's actually less desealing rod fragments, and here is why. Okay. If we have 13 arcs and each arc, 13 runs, and each gives us 2 chances at desealing rods at the end of the 3 weeks, at the end of the 1 week flash pass, like officer flash pass or whatever they're going to run, right? So that's 26 that you can get in a year. The old way, we would have 12, right, arcs and 12 flash passes, but then we would also have another 4 times throughout the year that they would do double flash passes, like do a second week and a second flash pass. So we would actually get 28.
No, not 28. You're wrong. It is 26. So you're right. It's not going to be more desealing rod fragments, but it will be the same.
No, it won't, because again, 24 desealing rod fragment chances, and then another 4 desealing rod chances on the 4 extra times the year that they would run a double.
They didn't do that. They didn't do that this past year. They only ran extra flash passes twice out of the 4 interims. Now, there were other things that happened.
Okay, no problem. If I'm wrong on that, fine. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no. Now, if they did run 4 extra flash passes, you would be right, but they did not. As a matter of fact, I remember the uproar when they didn't offer a second flash pass in one of the 2-week interim periods because they had substituted it with something else. So yeah, no, but you are correct. It's not going to be more desealing rod fragments, but it will remain the same because there were 2 interims this year that they did not do the extra flash pass. So, but yeah, it will stay mathematically the same. So good call out, good catch on that, Putz. So yeah, now Vic says we're gonna have to come up with new names. Yeah, it can't be the April Battle Pass anymore. I think I don't know what we're gonna do as a show. I think we're probably gonna have to start referring them to them as their update numbers. So like we're in M88 right now, so we're going into M89. That's not super. That's not super.
Not sexy at all.
Yeah, that's not sexy.
Like,
but I don't yet know what the best way to do that is. We'll figure it out. But yeah, you can't call it you can call it the April arc. It just starts March 31st. You can call it the May arc, but it's going to start on April 28th. All right. You can call it the June arc, but it's going to start on 1, 2, 3. It's going to start on May 26th. All right, so you can see it's gradually.
Most of it will still be in June.
It will, but May 26th, that's a whole week. All right.
Yep.
And then, so there's week 1, 2, 3, 4. The July arc is going to start on June 23rd. All right, 8 days. Week 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you're just getting ridiculous. The August arc is going to start on July 21st. All right. The August arc starts July 21st. That's 9 days in. Guys, yeah, we're going to have to call it by the feature name or the M number or whatever. So July 21st. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The September arc is now starting August 18th. I mean, that's mid-month. Okay?
That's okay.
So yeah, it can't be the September arc if it's starting August 18th. However, those are the dates for the next several arcs. And isn't it nice that we know that? Okay? Isn't it nice that we know when our schedule is going to be? Content creators can plan their schedules a little bit better. I got tickled earlier today when I heard that one of the Warp Drive 5 actually scheduled their stream on the wrong day, and they were late to the stream. MJ missed his stream for the Inglorious streamers on Arc launch, Arcfall Eve. So I mean, this is just great for planning. It's just good for planning. This is great. And not only that, but from a business perspective, it's brilliant because they're going to get an extra arc out of the year. That's an extra set of battle passes. As Waffly said, whatever they decide to spend on in the arc, chaos techs, officers, shards, whatever, ships, building parts, research particles, whatever it is that they're featuring. I mean, that's an extra one. And I think that's great. So retrieving, that has no bearing on this particular conversation. Why does it make sense that Arcfall dates were kept as state secrets? It wasn't state secrets. We knew what they were. It just, they did a 1 week or a 2 week to try to keep it lined up with a monthly calendar. It wasn't that they were state secrets. It's that they got to make a decision as to whether or not they were going to run an interim or they were going to run with 2 weeks. All right. And as Cruzito points out, there's a lot of logistical benefits to this as well. It's going to help things with the app stores, Apple and Google, when there's set times like that. There's a lot of business benefit to running it this way. And I'm completely cool with it. Martok says some people get paid on the last day of a month. Well, obviously, spending habits are you'll have to look at that. I totally understand that. But this is just good all the way around. All right, it's good all the way around. Polar Bear says Billy planned this, no doubt. And it's okay. This is one of the things that Billy has done that I don't have a problem with. Because what's good for Billy in this case is also good for us. Okay? I don't care when Billy has great ideas. I want Scopely to make money. I want Scopely to make money. Clip it. I want Fleet Command to make gajillions of dollars. Okay? But in doing so, I want us, the community, the players, the customers to feel good about that spend. Okay? That's what I want. So I feel good about this. I feel good about buying a 13th Battle Pass. Why? Because that means that there's also a free track. Right? Every Battle Pass that we get, we're up to 5, I think Tibbs said. 5 Battle Passes now. That's 5 more free tracks that you're going to get in a year. That's arguably better than a de-sealing rod pack. You know? So that is a good thing. Everything that would come free in a month, we're going to get. And I think that that is a good thing as far as player beneficial. So Billy makes some money, players get more, everybody's happy. That's a good thing, right? More choice tokens, more opportunities at other various rewards, depot tokens, shards, whatever comes in a battle pass. All right? So now, obviously, and you know, now listen, if I put my tinfoil hat on, Magoo, I'm hoping, and this is a business response as well, I'm hoping that the structure gives the engineering time more solid deadlines and project dates and time for improvement. Like that, I believe, is also a piece of this decision. Okay? They are changing their structure. Captain Taylor says, LOL, no. Hear me out. Developers in our chat will tell you that a schedule like that is more than 2 or 3 weeks out, all right, is beneficial for department planning. Okay, it just is. So this, I am hoping, obviously, I understand the business decision from the revenue piece. I get that. But I'm hoping that this is part of a broader strategy change that's going to help interdepartmental procedures and interdepartmental processes to be a little bit less loosey-goosey. Okay? That's right, Guffa says, having an actual deadline is what makes people work correctly. So Vic agrees, Cruzito agrees, and I am hoping, I mean, I know that that might not seem that way on the outside, all right, but on the inside, like interdepartmentally, I feel like this is also a really good move for interdepartmental function and process and trying to be a little less loosey-goosey and nailing it down. And if that happens, Magoo, and I don't expect it in the first, 30 days, but 90 days into this, God, please don't make me wrong on this. 90 days into this, I hope that we start seeing a little bit cleaner release, a little bit cleaner development. All right? I'm hoping. All right? But in a lot of ways, the departments kind of function and probably a lot similar to how we do, right? We like planning. We like knowing things. That's what you guys always say. We need communication. We need to know what we're doing. We need to know the dates. We need to know what we're doing. I'm kind of hoping that this works internally also. All right? And there's a good chance of it. It's not a guarantee, but there's a good chance that this will improve the rigidity and the structure inside these departments. So I'm hoping that that is also part of this. And again, that's why I say I really haven't found anything bad with this. All right? Aside from people's pay dates, which I understand. But, I mean, when an arc is up, you can spend whenever, with the exception of 1 or 2 day passes, I guess. But that's the only thing that I've heard so far that makes this different, and different isn't necessarily bad as long as we know about it and can plan for it. And that's what we say. And they're telling us right here, your March arc is starting on March 31st. Boom. We know it. Okay. The next arc is starting April 28th. Boom. We know it. The next arc is starting May 26th. Boom. We know it. We know our schedule for the next year. You could look and see what your vacation plans are going to be. You could look and see what your Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays travel plans are going to be. Not that you guys do that, but listen, I heard people on Lost in Stream the other day say that they take days off for incursions. Well, now we get to know. Kind of, not necessarily for the incursion piece, but you can know about how the arc's going to fall if indeed you make plans around that stuff. Right? So this is not at all a bad thing when it comes to structure and when it comes to product planning. And we are analytical engineering style minds. We like to plan. So I think that's a very, very good thing. Now, the last thing that I want to bring up, because we are over our time, but not by much, actually doing pretty good. Last thing I want to bring up is CoTA. Zephram Cochrane. Where's Matters? Matters disappeared. Uh-oh.
He had to go. He had to do parenting things, but he did give me a summary if you would like me to read what he said.
Well, that is excellent. Here was going to be my question. Okay? Is Zephram Cochrane worth it? Matters?
He did not answer that directly. Is he here?
No, I was going to say Matters proxy by Tarpy.
Yes.
All right, why?
So to quote what Matters wrote in my DM, his Cascade bonus grows to a massive 250%. And more importantly, he gives synergy to partially skinned data. I guess partially parts of his skin, not all of his skin. But anyway, as an 80% boost to the number of shots. So more shots, more good, more damage. So it's massive punch up for group armadas. So it's less important for lower ops than perhaps for G7. So this might be pretty spicy for G7 leaderboards. But it's a really, really, he seems a good officer for hitting G7 open armadas. And for anyone who's looking at below deck ability who has space below deck for hull repair, anything that can help earlier players particularly get up to that 95% cap of hull repair is good.
Okay, so let's break down Matter's response, okay? Because I see in chat that that's worthless to a G6 player. Sid, so this is why I like the two different abilities. This is why I like the below deck and I like the bridge officer ability being completely different mechanics. Because I would agree with you that for G6 and down, you'll never, ever, ever, ever have him on the bridge. Okay? You won't. Where you will always, 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 always have him is below deck. I'm a G7 player, and I'm not really even that interested in his bridge ability. But he will live below decks for me in a lot of places. Okay? Now, the below deck is just in armadas, but it's not group armadas. Okay? So, Candid, this is a huge, huge distinction. You say not useful? I beg to differ. Okay? Especially if you're going to run an open armada, fine, whatever. But Board Conqueror solo armadas, okay? Big deal. G7 solo armadas, big deal, okay? These matter. And, the G6 solo armadas, these matter. Anything hull repair, especially when you talk to any G7 player, what is their bottleneck in game? Some of them are going to say materials, okay? But the bottleneck is resources. The big bottleneck. Some of them will say materials because that's a thing, okay? But trite, you got it. Look at the chat. Resources, steel, trite, sigma trite. Big deal. Now, Andy, I'm not saying that mats aren't a bottleneck. I'm not saying that at all, because they are. Everything in G7 is a bottleneck right now, and it should be. But the massive holdback, the biggest thing you still need is Sigma Trite. And the biggest reason for that is because we're still using it for G6 stuff. Okay? So it's Tritanium. Big. Listen, anything that's going to get us hull repair to reduce those repair costs. We spent the first half of the show talking about PvP and how it's always net negative. And this is going to still be net negative, all right, in PvE form, but less so. We're closing the gap on that loss. Yeah, look, Kara, Sigma Trite, so painful. Sigma Trite, I run out of that on a daily basis, all right? Look, I did, on my Vengeance, I did 2 or 3 components for half of the Ilea event. I did half. Now that I realize that Cochrane is coming, I kind of regret it, to be perfectly honest with you. I did half of my Ilea event. And I wished I had saved it because Cochrane is important to me. All right. And I will agree, just as Matters summarizes, for G6 and down on the bridge, that's probably not the ability you're looking for, Sid. But the below deck, that's big. And it's not just for G7. Okay? Think about a new server. Right? Think about a new alliance where maybe you're the whale. Right? People are looking to you. I mean, this is an officer that scales down because repair costs matter no matter what generation you're in, especially when you get that next ship. I can remember the sticker shock going from G6 rare to when I built the G6 Epic. Okay? I can remember that sticker shock on the repair bill. How many of you guys can remember the sticker shock on the repair bill for a new generationally ranked ship that you had just built? And you're like, whoa. Whoa. Okay? That exists in almost every generation. You go from a G5 rare to a G5 epic. Big repair difference. Balabom says, I can remember not being able to afford the repairs on my pylon. That is a real, true story, and that still exists today, Sid. So anything hull repair is always good. And honestly, there's not a lot of hull repair in the game. There's not a lot. There's some, right? But I would love more, right? Where do we have some? You got an X-Borg favor for it, I believe, right? Don't we have an X-Borg favor for hull repair? We also have Pick Hugh for hull repair. Suitor provides you a little bit of hull repair.
And
we've also got
for hostiles.
For hostiles, we've got a fleet commander that provides a little bit of hull repair. All right.
That's Cisco, or is that?
Is it in Cisco? I think it is in. Yeah, it is in Cisco. Cisco, his active ability is hull repair. His active ability is hull repair.
How many people have him yet?
Well, not very many. And that's what I'm saying. Any source of hull repair is valuable. Okay? It's super valuable. Look at players who are using Omega 13 as a mechanic for outposts now. Hull repair is a big deal, guys. It's a big deal. All right. Mimi says, I don't think you can classify field repairs as hull repair. And that's fair. I can live with that, but they do function the same. I mean, technically they're the same. All right. So there's not a ton of it out there, I guess, is what I'm surmising to say. And how many times have we said, listen, man, I wish I had another Pick Hugh. Man, I wish I had another Borg Hugh. And then you got Viel. Man, I wish I had another B'Elanna. And then you got the Chaos Tech. All right. So there are absolutely cases where a redundant or a repeat ability is still beneficial to us. A big deal. And hull repair is fantastic on this guy. I'd have to go back and double check. Where does he cap out? Isn't it like 25%? And that's when he gets maxed. But listen, with a solid CoTA, 30%, that's flipping huge. 30% is flipping huge. And as Sugar Red points out, it's not just about the repair bill. Sugar Red says repair savings are a bonus. For me, the hull repair means more survivability in combat, which means a better punch up. Okay? A better punch up capability, more survivability, more capability to survive longer against a stronger target. Silvertab says, question about hull repair for clarification. Love this question, Silvertab. That works round, right? Not sub-round. So if you're killing something in round 1, you don't need pick Q below. Correct. Hull repair happens at the beginning of the next round, not a sub-round. So if you are killing it in one round, pick Q does not help you. Okay? And neither, surmisably, would be would Cochrane. Now, if you're killing something in one round, can we kill something bigger? Yeah, know what I am saying? All right. So that's where his benefit lies in, is repair cost. And for me, Zephram Cochrane's primary ability comes from me below deck. All right. His bridge officer ability, I don't know if I'll use that. I might eventually, maybe, but below deck, I will use that a lot. All right. So Sid says, yeah, that's for sure, but it's still only Armada only. At the moment, it's not the biggest problem with my Armadas. Beautiful. I love that you said that, Sid. I love that you said that. Because guess what? That is a choice you get to make. And I'm not being sarcastic, not in the least. Okay? I love that. I love that you can identify that for your account and make a choice that maybe Zephram Cochrane is not the officer I want to dump 100 million points worth of materials in. Maybe I want to do it on my Aphelion, or maybe I'm going to wait until next month. I love that, actually. That's brilliant to me. All right. The fact that you've got your awareness on that and not just saying blindly, I've got to do another heroic milestone for an officer I don't care about. I love that awareness. I wish more players had that awareness. Because you don't have to do it, right? You can choose. Is Zephram Cochrane valuable to you, or do you want to wait on him? That's brilliant. Because if you decide that he's not the officer for you right now, then that gives you spending power somewhere else. That gives you spending power for your Aphelion, or it gives you a spending power in the April arc. You see what I'm saying?
Or say you're G6 or mid G5. DJs, do you remember from the beginning of the arc how long Jules said it would take to unlock Cochrane without anything else event-wise or anything?
It was a little longer than we had expected. I think, here's the problem. Here's the problem with Zephram Cochrane. Right now, he's exclusively in the Maverick track, and a lot of players are not prioritizing his shards right now because there are other items in the Maverick track that are more important. So if you, for example, timed it out to going to dive bar level 40 before you started on Cochrane, it was going to be like a 250-day acquisition.
Right.
All right.
And it's also based on your rep in that faction. So it was going to take a long time.
Yeah.
So any shards that you might be able to get from CoTA, better.
Yeah. Sugar Red says, I'm not even pulling Cochrane shards yet. And now you can take that pressure off of you. If you did want Zephram Cochrane, you can take the pressure off the Maverick track and use CoTA. All right. So listen, this is a fantastic choice of an officer. All right. Because he does have other sourcing that is going to be slow. This is going to provide you a method to spend or dump your horde to accelerate that model. Or, as Sid points out, which might be my favorite perspective of the entire conversation, I don't know if this is for me. I think I'm going to maybe sit this one out. And like I said, I wish more people had the awareness to say that, Sid. Everybody usually just screams that they can't do it all. All right. I love the awareness of saying, hey, this one's not for me. I'm going to wait for the next one. That's brilliant. And I'm dead serious about that. There's no sarcasm there. I wish more people. Yeah, Cruzito, crazy. Sid gets to make a choice. God, I wish the rest of us could do that. Scopely always makes me do everything. God bless it. Right? They just make me do everything. All right? So, no, I love that.
They really forget to have you shield every time.
Every day. It's their fault.
That's all on them.
It's their fault. Guys, just as a quick reminder, Maverick track is resetting in approximately 28 hours. What?
Challenge track is tonight too, right?
No, I said
that
Maverick
one?
Track. I said Maverick Track is
Okay.
resetting in 28 hours. So make sure you go finish up whatever tracks you're working on and make sure you claim your rewards, which is much easier to do now that they put it back in the event section. But a fair warning that when the Maverick Track resets, it will be week 4 of our rotation, which Tarpy, which means what hostile is going to show up for our Uber grind?
Features, actually. So I was, you know what? This one time, since I was very wrong when I was trying to do something earlier, but this is the one time, and I was really, really hoping this would be a thing, where every 4 weeks-ish, we're supposed to do V'ger grind, right? That would be great to have some synergy with if this Echoes of V'ger event comes back every month, we could have synergy. That would be great, except that's not how they're doing it. So there will be some months where they have V'ger hostiles 2 different weeks. And we have to grind a butt ton of them.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet what the milestone's going to be. But
yeah.
No, what are you saying? The 2 weeks? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So the V'ger grind. So exactly with Echo's Riskbreaker, it's bioships, but they do have the V'ger tag. So if the V'ger tag with the bioships lined up, that would be great.
Yeah.
So having this, so they're not going to do that.
What? Actually, they are. What are you talking about?
But I was wrong when I was going through that schedule. They are doing 6. You were right. There were 6 different rotations of potential weeks.
You left me with 4.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. And I went back and I said I was wrong because people showed me I was wrong.
Okay, so where is it? What is week 5? What is week 4 going to be? It is going to be V'ger.
Week 4 is going to be V'ger this time, but then there's 2 more weeks. So they're not always going to line up.
Well, we don't even know if we're going to get Echoes of V'ger very much longer. I mean, that's an arc-related interim event. This is only part 2. Listen, that's actually brilliant to point out, is that there is going to be synergy on that one this month. All right? Because, that's going to be during the interim week. Week 4 is interim. It's V'ger for the Maverick track, and you've also got all of these V'ger events in the thingy, the interim thing. So at least this month, that's going to be great. I would be willing to bet that Echoes of V'ger does not continue forever. I don't think that's a thing that's going to continue forever. I think it's this interim run event because we're in that arc. You know what I'm saying? So on the other hand,
we're not.
I mean, but
that arc ended a month ago.
That arc ended yesterday.
No, V'ger ended a month ago.
What are we in now?
We're in not that.
Okay, well, again, it's fine.
Don't confuse me, man.
At least for this week, this guy, the ultimate bullshit guy, this guy goes the wee woo. Listen,
event is called Echoes of V'ger, meaning it happened after V'ger, right?
Yeah,
we've been.
That's right. Okay, whatever. Don't listen to me.
Over there.
But I know there's no arguing with Tarpan. We'll sit down and be wrong. But I am going to point out that at least this week you may have synergy, and I'm going to hope that those bioships, are they tagged as V'ger? Because if they are, then they're going to count.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I've been wrong more than once today. So
Riskbreaker says they are tagged, so that may mean that they count, unless they do something crazy dumb and do like one task for all V'ger Orions.
Oh, good Lord. And on that note, they are tagged V'ger.
It could just be all V'ger Orions. We don't know. We don't know what it's going to look like. Okay, so I say that tongue in cheek, but if they were building this in a way that I think makes sense, then there would be synergy on this, and that would be great. All right. And by the way, that will make that task feel oh so worse or oh so better, right?
Other weeks, if they keep running that interim event, though, it will make it feel worse because we will have multiple weeks of grinding just V'ger, which is why I'm kind of mad about how they set up the
That is a
Maverick track,
super long-term what if. I'm not even stressed about it. We don't know when Echoes of V'ger will come back, and if it does, then we can look at it then. But at least for this week, it appears that there will be some synergy, and I think that is a wonderful, fantastic thing, and I hope that it holds. So there you go. And we talked about Zephram Cochrane. We are 40 minutes over schedule. Putz, can you do your thing in 3 minutes or less, or do you want to wait till Tuesday? Where's Putz?
Did you just ask if he lasted 3 minutes instead of 2?
2. All right, fine.
I can do either. It doesn't matter, whichever one you would like.
Are you going to lose?
You want to give it?
Are you going to lose time? Like, is there any, because March Madness is going on. Is there any problem to waiting till Tuesday? Because I know you want to be thematic about it. Putz made.
Yeah, we can wait until Tuesday. It's perfectly fine.
Okay.
The thing will work fine on Tuesday.
Putz made a March Madness bracket for STFC officers, which I think is bloody brilliant. He has devised this whole contest, this whole plan. There's a downloadable game sheet. He's going to explain the rules. We'll push it until Tuesday. But yeah, Putz has written an entire game for STFC March Madness, and I think it is absolutely brilliant. I've only seen like the structure on it, and it was so good. I'm like, yes, let's give away some packs. Like, let's actually make it a real contest. So Putz is he's built this entire game. And we will launch that on Tuesday because we're out of time for tonight. But coming up Tuesday, you don't want to miss that Tuesday night in the lab. That'll be the first thing we do, Putz. Don't let me forget. First thing we do is we'll launch Talking Trek's STFC March Madness, and there will be actual packs that you can win for competing. So it'll be a lot of fun, and Putz has got everything ready on that. Anything else from our panel? I know we're getting ready to start interim week, but again, we're really out of time. Is there anything? Let's go around to Putz and Tarpy. Just super quick, 2 minutes. What are you guys working on this week if it's not V'ger?
Putz, go first.
It's going to be really easy for me, and that is I am going to spend, assuming that they didn't change Chronicles, the CoTA too much, and I know what I'm kind of going to score with, right? I'm going to get rid of all of that inventory, get it out, and try to get as far as I can on Zephram Cochrane. I think he's actually valuable. Yes, G6, he's going to live below deck, but I think he's valuable for maybe what comes next month. I don't think we necessarily have seen the right captain for the trio, and we only have 2 of the options. But I want to get him, and it would be really nice if I could walk away with a tier 2. That would be great. That's right.
Okay, very good. Tarpy, what are you working on? Oh, by the way, quick question before you answer that. Before people drop off or get ready to go with a raid, I was contemplating this. It is almost 8 o'clock. I literally just had this thought. Would you guys be willing to hang out even for like 5 minutes if I raided to myself? I could raid over to Studio B. Do you guys want to raid to Studio B?
I can raid you into Studio B. And
Vanadia says you're not going to be able to upgrade him to tier 2, Putz. You can get the shards for it, but you're not going to be able to upgrade him. Remember, the first level is 25,000 Maverick credits. So
yeah. I forgot about that when I said that. Yes. I was like, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that part will suck. But at least you'll have the shards. You'll get that part knocked out. You won't have to worry about anything else. So, real quick, are you guys cool to hang out for like even 5 minutes? Like, let me just go get a drink. Yes, Omega. I'm going to do Studio B tonight because I missed it last night because I had some family surprise me and pop in on me. But I am going to do Studio B tonight. Oh, yes. And how did the 70 Elite Outpost go? Well, I would be glad to share that with you. I did indeed put it in the graphics room just in case anybody missed it. But this was my last hostile. And I did put it in the graphics room. So I still had probably between 10 and 15% hull left on my Vengeance. And this was my last 71 Phase 2 hostile of a level 70 elite, and I ran it with loot. So there is a caveat to that, which I know Putz is getting ready to ask. Did you miss 30 hostiles?
How many were skipped? That was my question.
Yeah.
How many were skipped?
2. I hit
So inconsistent.
I hit all 30 Phase 1 hostiles, and I only hit 40 Phase 2 hostiles. So there should have been 42, and it was only 40. Vul said it's always the last 2. It's always the last 2. But really, truthfully,
couldn't last 2 more hostiles.
Yeah. Love it. But still very, very successful loot run. Very successful loot run of the 70 Elite. That the Elite Outpost, that was a very, very interesting experiment. I'm glad that we ran it because I barely made it, but I did make it. Caledon says, wow, I did so much worse. Only got to 45 total. It's got to be the Surge research. Surge research probably makes a big difference. Also, I do have Cisco. He's helping. Okay. Cisco matters. But yeah, I mean, that is a very, very successful run. I'm pretty pleased with that. That was 70 hostiles out of a level 70 elite outpost. And I just barely made it. I mean, I wouldn't have gone 10 more hostiles. Maverick research could have had something to do with that too. Absolutely. So that was a good run. Thank you guys for pushing me to try it. That was successful. Somebody asked why the surveys. I don't have time to get into that right now. We did do a pod. Where we talked about that, but we can talk about it more on Tuesday if you guys would like to see that again. Maybe, Tarpy, that could be our goal for our short this week. Would be outpost crewing for loot and the survey trick. So we could do that if you guys want to do that, because I've been trying to make some shorts out of our Twitch streams. So yeah, we could do that on Tuesday. But yeah, I'll answer that question on Tuesday. We just don't have time to do it tonight. So that being said, I will. I need to end the podcast.
Yes, go.
Well, hang on. I need to end the podcast, which means I got to do the disclaimer. I got to play the music, but don't leave. Don't leave. We'll stay after. Okay. So live studio audience, you guys stick around. If you're in podcast, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. I got some crazy, interesting mechanics or statistics on the Talking Trek brand a couple of weeks ago that we were talking about on stream the other night. It was super late, but very, very interesting stuff. So thank you. Every download counts. Every listen matters. Every follower, every subscriber, every single one makes a huge, huge difference. And I am so grateful to all of you for consuming the content, whether it's on podcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, all this stuff. It is so great. I really appreciate it. Mosher says, is the Nadion daily for 61 plus fixed? If it is, I don't know about it. Mine is still at 60, and I'm still pulling it, and I've never upgraded it. So if that's fixed, I don't know anything about it yet. But for those of you in the live studio audience, stick around. We're gonna keep broadcasting for a little bit, and then we'll raid over to Studio B. But for those of you in our playback audience, thank you so very much. YouTube music, that's another big one. Thank you guys so very much. I invite you to visit our website at TalkingTrekSTFC.com, which will forward over to the new and improved UltimatDJzPlays.com or UltimatDJz.com. We've got both of them. And if you scroll down, you'll find a link to our brand new Instagram. Yeah, we've got a brand new Instagram account. There's literally nothing on it, but go follow it anyway, because then you'll see when we do other stuff. So go follow the brand new Instagram. We'll be making shorts and doing some funny things, and I plan on making a couple of little, like, just silly little things to put over there, but you'll get some extra clips and some gold content. We'll have some fun on our Instagram, so be sure to go to the website and listen to that. K92 says, if you're only ending the audio pod, why did you put up the exit screen on Twitch? Because we also cut it down for YouTube podcast. YouTube publishes a video podcast, so we still have to make a complete video podcast. It's kind of a weird thing, but I'll end YouTube. I'm not going to end YouTube yet, but I will edit it down so that this is the last thing in the YouTube, because YouTube does video podcasts. So yeah, kind of weird. Anyway, check out our website. There's links over there to everything, our new Instagram, the merch store, our Patreon, where listeners are so generous and just contribute. There's no paywall content. We don't believe in it anymore. Used to. And we just opened everything up to everybody. So just people who donate when they feel like being generous, and I thank you all for doing that. Thank you guys so very much. Talking Trek gives a registered trademark and recorded in front of a live studio audience for distribution across podcast platforms everywhere. I'm your friendly neighborhood cat person, UltimatDJz, saying meow for now. Love you, mean it. Catch you on the next podcast coming up this coming Thursday. Live studio audience, stick around. We got more to come. Hang on.